Okay, everybody, we are clear on conflicts. We are ready to start. Scoring panelists, our team members did upload their rosters into the group chat, so you can access those for assistance while you're preparing your score sheets. And without further ado, I would like to introduce the Honorable Magistrate Richard Farrow, who will be our presiding judicial officer in courtroom 1 today for round 3, and we will go ahead and get started.
Morning, everybody. And do you want me to start, or are you going to do the?
No, you can get
part?
started.
You've already done it? Okay.
Yes,
thank you.
sorry, you are ready to go. My
All
apologies.
right, thank you. I apologize. I thought we were waiting. All right. Good morning, everybody. As you heard, I am Magistrate Richard Farrow, and I'd first like to ask each side if they're ready for trial. So let me ask the prosecution representatives of the state, are you ready for trial?
Yes, Your Honor, we are.
All right. And the defense, are you ready for trial?
Yes.
All right. And we have rosters already provided. And I want to confirm that everybody is aware that this proceeding is being recorded. Are you all aware of that? And do you agree with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you for the prosecution and for the defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So we have the panelists that will be scoring the matter as well. They're present. And I want to remind both teams that there will not be any recesses during the competition, during the trial. And you're aware of that. Can I hear from the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can I hear from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And then I'd like to have the prosecution introduce its members first. And I'm not picking the prosecution to go first for any specific reason other than they carry the burden today in this trial. So therefore, I'm going to allow them to go first, but it's not because of any preference to either side. So let me hear from the prosecution, and I will allow for introductions of members at this time.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Josh Lowry, and I will be doing the direct examination of Detective Jordan Markowitz, and I will be crossing Avery Becker. Do I have permission to introduce my co-counsel?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, opposing counsel and members of the jury. My name is Braden Tours, and today I will be performing the direct examination of witness Alex Fuentes along with the cross-examination of witness Taylor Perkins, and I will also be delivering opening statements today.
Good morning, Your Honor, opposing counsel, members of the jury. My name is Aiden Ayotte. Today I'll be performing the closing statements as well as the direct examination of Kyle Kuzak and the cross-examination of Professor Van Owen. I'd also like to ask permission for my witnesses to introduce themselves.
Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, members of the jury. My name is Annabelle Kiley, and I am Detective Jordan Markowitz.
Good morning, members of the jury, Your Honor. My name is Kira Archuleta, and I'm Kyle Kuzak.
All right.
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the jury. My name is Chloe Conklin, and I am Alex Fuentes.
All right, thank you. Is that all of your members' prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
All right, and can I have the defense, please, now at this time introduce their members?
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel. My name is Paige Miller. I will be directing Avery Becker, crossing Jordan Markowitz, and conducting the closing argument. At this time, may my co-counsel introduce themselves?
Yes, please.
Good morning, Your Honor, members of the jury and opposing counsel. My name is Kenzie Furcus, and today I will be conducting the direct examination of Taylor Perkins as well as the cross-examination of Alex Fuentes.
Good evening, Your Honor. Today I'll be conducting the opening statement. as well as conducting the cross-examination of Kyle Kuzak and the direct examination of Professor Blake Van Owen. Your Honor, permission for my witnesses to introduce themselves?
Yes, go right ahead.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Sam Schwecke, and I'll be portraying Avery Becker.
My name is Anna Bensley, and I will be portraying Taylor Perkins.
I believe the last witness was muted. Could you repeat your introduction, please?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely. Go right ahead.
My name is Annalise Schwecke, and I'll be portraying Blake Van Owen.
All right, thank you. I think that's all of our introductions. Is that correct for the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is that correct for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I just want to remind both sides that compliance with time requirements will be considered in scoring individual performances. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and swear the team members. So if I can have all the team members raise their right hands. Team members, do you promise that the presentation you are about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of the mock trial competition? All right, I see a lot of heads nodding yes, so I don't have anybody who doesn't agree. And witnesses, you're already sworn for the purposes of the virtual appearance, so thank you. And now I'll ask gallery members that are watching this presentation, please, gallery members, including teacher and attorney, coaches, family members, and friends, please raise your right hands. Do you promise to represent yourselves as positive role models and to behave in a manner that exemplifies ethical and professional sportsmanship during and after this mock trial round? Obviously, I don't have access to those individuals, but I know that they've heard what I have to say. And then finally, the scoring panelists, if I would ask you to raise your right hands. And do you promise to adjudicate the mock trial competition as fairly and objectively as possible in accordance with the facts, procedures, and rules of the mock trial competition? And all parties and all participants have been sworn. And at this time, we're prepared to go forward on the matter. Is there any preliminary matters that need to be addressed by the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor. We do have a couple preliminary matters that we would like to go over.
All right, and before you go over your matters, let me have somebody for the defense ready to respond if I have a question regarding the requests. Go ahead, prosecution.
The people request that the stipulated facts of the case be submitted into evidence to assist the jury's understanding of the case.
Any objection from the defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Stipulated facts will be admitted for the jury's assistance. Go ahead. Any other?
People request that the witnesses are allowed a copy of the exhibit packets and personal witness statements nearby for expediency's sake.
Any objection from the defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, that will be allowed as well. Go ahead. Anything further?
The people request that all extra time from closing statements be reserved for rebuttal.
Okay, there will be a rebuttal reservation. And anything further?
And the people request that all participants not actively in questioning or statements are allowed to mute their microphones.
Any objection from the defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. That will be also included. Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Any preliminary requests from the defense?
No further preliminary matters, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. And then, so are we prepared to proceed with the trial sequence at this time by both parties from the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are we prepared, defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are both parties prepared for opening statements, prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
And defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Let me have the opening statement by the prosecution, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. It was almost a year ago today that on March 6th, 2020, this world lost a great individual. Not only a respectable family man and a talented litigator, though a dedicated mentor for numerous students at Colorado High School that looked up to him as a beacon of unwavering support and improvement. Coach Mackenzie Brackman, like so many others who assumed his altruistic and often grueling vocation of mentoring the youth, devoted every drop of his time and energy into the success of his pupils. However, when a strong and committed figure takes lead, the ones beneath them who host conflicting attitudes are left to dwell in vengeance and resentment. And today you will see that most unfortunately for Brackman, despite all the love he vested in his team, one of his very own pupils, Avery Becker, was no different. And the result was pure tragedy. Today, you will hear the testimony of three individuals, one of whom being a close companion and teammate of Avery Becker, and the other two expert witnesses here to validate the copious pieces of evidence that prove Avery Becker is beyond a reasonable doubt the perpetrator of the two charges we bring upon him today. Firstly, you will hear from expert witness Jordan Markowitz, a homicide detective with the Denver Police Department with a certification in data recovery from the American Academy of Law Enforcement. By meticulously following the data evidence, Markowitz will detail the events the day of Brackman's murder, from the location of Avery's cell phone that put him in close vicinity of Mr. Brackman during the span of the crime, to the highly incriminating texts Avery sent to Mr. Cifuentes right before. Secondly, you will hear from expert witness Kyle Kuzak, a crime scene reconstruction investigator with 19 years of experience, who will provide his merited insight into the circumstances and events of March 6th that led to Brackman's murder. This includes the gruesome details of Brackman's stabbing, the odd circumstances surrounding Brackman's reaction, as well as his opinion on how exactly Avery Becker committed this evil crime. For months upon months, you will see that Avery Becker had been cultivating a nasty hatred towards Coach Brackman. And while he wanted to do nothing more than to retain his lead roles in the team while doing the absolute bare minimum, you will see that Avery Becker demonstrated his character by maliciously vandalizing Coach Brackman's car after Avery was demoted. After Mr. Brackman expelled Avery from the team for the safety of everyone else, for the vindictive Avery, you will see that backing down was simply not an option. So on March 6th of last year, after days of brooding and anger and humiliation, you will see that Avery Becker texted friend Alex that he was escalating the hatred and going straight to Mr. Brackman's home to vandalize it. Shortly after that, Brackman was found stabbed dead on his front door. Whether it be purely the result of teenage recklessness or something deeper in Avery's character, one thing is for absolutely certain. Simple coincidence is not to blame for this wicked crime. Through the ensuing testimonies and evidence you will bear witness to, we remain faithful that the force of justice will motivate each and every one of you to prosecute the perpetrator that is here with us today. Today, we bring the following charges against defendant Avery Becker. Murder in the first degree, that on or about March 6th, 2020, Avery Becker unlawfully and feloniously committed or attempted to commit second-degree burglary. And during the course and furtherance of that crime, the death of Mackenzie Brackman was caused by anyone along with second-degree burglary of a dwelling. That on or about March 6th, 2020, Avery Becker unlawfully, feloniously, and knowingly broke an entrance into, entered, or remained unlawfully after a lawful or unlawful entry into the dwelling of Mackenzie Brackman with the intent to commit therein the crime of criminal mischief. We, the prosecution, have the cold hard evidence. We have the only likely outcome, and right here today, we have a murderer awaiting sentencing. Now for you, the jury, you only have one duty today. You have the duty and the opportunity to choose facts, to choose evidence, and to choose justice today. Thank you.
Thank you. Defense, are you ready for opening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, proceed, please.
A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Avery Becker, the weakest link, was looked at before the evidence. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you will find that the detective's case is made up entirely of weak links. You will learn that evidence police gathered was either not used or simply circumstantial. In fact, some of the evidence they used was lost. That is only the first weak link. The second, the witnesses. Two, who are investigators. The same investigators that rushed this entire investigation. And the weakest link of all, the defendant himself, Avery Becker, a young man with a bright future. The case we will present to you today is that of a young man who should be dreaming of all that lies ahead, but instead he's being unfairly accused of murder. Avery Becker is only guilty of one thing: losing his phone. The prosecution's case rests on Avery Becker's past mistakes leading him to murder, but many know all people who make mistakes are not murderers. Avery Becker is just a boy who made a simple mistake and is now being faced with murder accusations for a crime he did not commit. Avery Becker wanted to end his senior year on a good note, on good terms with the team he had been part of his entirety of high school. Avery Becker made a mistake, and investigators used that as a leverage to find him guilty of murder. Avery Becker, the weakest final link, was looked at before any other suspect, some who might have had even more of a motive than himself. Today, you will be hearing from 3 witnesses. Expert witness, Professor Blake Van Owen, who is a professor, private investigator, and an expert witness in police practices. She will be able to give you an expert explanation for disproving evidence claiming to point to Becker, but simply is just speculation, as well as providing a secondary suspect with a strong motive, perhaps even stronger than the defendant himself, that the prosecution refused to look into out of pure negligence. You will hear from witness Taylor Perkins, Avery Becker's close friend. Teenagers tell their best friends everything. Taylor Perkins will testify under oath that she was with Avery Becker on the day the victim was killed, and will be able to tell us where they were on the day of this crime that she knows Avery did not commit, not only because she was with him the whole day, but also because she knows that her best friend would never commit such an atrocity over a petty feud. And finally, you'll be hearing from the defendant himself, Avery Becker, who will take the stand to prove to the jury that he's indeed innocent of this crime, that he's simply a young man who would never do anything to jeopardize his entire future. Avery Becker has his whole life ahead of him, a life he wouldn't simply throw away from one club, one small part of his life. Avery Becker wanted that spot back on the mock trial team, so why would he do something to risk his last chance on that team? Avery Becker simply did not get along with everyone, and now that could cost him a lot more than it should. The detectives in this case took the first opportunity they saw to find Avery Becker as a suspect and ran with it, without the thought of accepting the rest of the evidence that blatantly shows Avery did not commit this crime. They looked at Avery Becker before looking at the evidence. Avery Becker's only crime was that of just losing his phone. Today, we ask you, the jury, to simply listen to what Mr. Becker has to say and find this man not guilty of committing these crimes. We ask you to look beyond his mistakes, as you would ask anyone to do for yourself, and find him not guilty of this heinous crime.
Thank you, defense. Is the prosecution prepared to call its first witness?
Yes, Your Honor, we are. We'd
All
like
right.
to call Detective Ms. Jordan Markowitz to the stand.
Detective Markowitz, please. Detective Markowitz, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of law testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, counsel.
Ms. Markowitz, please state your name for the official court record, and may you please spell out your last name.
My name is Jordan Markowitz, Markowitz.
And Ms. Markowitz, what is your occupation?
I am a homicide detective with the Denver Police Department.
And how long have you held that position?
I've been working with the DPD for 13 years, but I've been a homicide detective for 7 of those years.
And do you have any specialized knowledge pertaining to this case?
Yes, I have specialized knowledge in cell phone technology and forensic data recovery, and I received a certification from the American Academy of Law Enforcement in these subjects.
And what did you learn during your training program at the American Academy?
I learned a lot about cell phone technology and forensic data recovery. I learned how to download the contents of a cell phone using forensic systems like the Celebrite system. I also learned how to obtain and interpret cell tower data and how to download the contents of a cell phone.
Your Honor, the prosecution moves to tender Jordan Markowitz as an expert in homicide and cell phone technology and forensic data recovery.
Defense, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, Detective Markowitz is so indicated as an expert witness. Go ahead, counsel.
Ms. Markowitz, can you please describe the events of March 6th, 2020?
Certainly. I arrived at the scene of the crime at about 2:20 p.m. after my officers received a call from a passerby about the victim being passed out on their porch. Upon my arrival and the officers' arrival, it became clear that the victim was actually dead and had been stabbed in their upper left shoulder with the murder weapon lying near them.
And what conclusions did you draw from the scene?
The location and position of the body suggests that Mr. Brackman had been stabbed from behind and was on his way out of the residence when he died.
And did you notice anything at the crime scene? Was anything stolen?
Although the house appeared to be in general disarray, nothing appeared to be stolen. However, there was a broken plate, knocked over chair, and scuff marks on the floor, which all could indicate signs of a struggle. I also noticed a Ring doorbell near the front door.
Okay. And was there evidence of a struggle?
Well, there was a broken plate, a knocked over chair, and some scuff marks near the back door, near the kitchen.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness is supposed to have an unmarked and clear copy of exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in front of them. Do you have those exhibits in front of you, Ms. Markowitz?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell me what you see in exhibit 1?
I see Brackman's body near his front door in a pool of blood.
Can you describe what you see in exhibits 2, 3?
I see further pictures of Brackman's body and the stab wound.
What about in exhibit 4?
Another angle of Brackman's body and the wound, as well as blood.
And exhibits 5 and 6?
Those would be the bloody murder weapon, the knife, and the knife in the crime lab.
Your Honor, the prosecution moves to submit exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 into evidence.
Defense, any objections?
Yes, Your Honor, lack of foundation.
And is that with regards to all exhibits or any particular exhibit?
That would be all of them, Your Honor.
Response, Mr. Lowry?
Your Honor, these are key photographs describing the immediate arrival of officers on the scene. Detective Jordan Markowitz arrived moments after those officers were on the scene. This is what the homicide detective found. These are evidence. This is what has been processed as evidence.
And defense, what is your particular objection to the foundation? What do you believe is missing?
It has not been made clear how exactly the witness knows what these exhibits are.
I'm going to sustain the objection. Mr. Lowry, you can address the witness further on that issue.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. So returning to the crime scene, were you able to learn anything from Brackman's body besides the stab wounds and the blood splatters?
Yes, I was able to recover Brackman's cell phone, which is where I found the passcodes for the Ring doorbell account, as well as a lot of references to something called mock trial in a group chat. So I contacted the school for a list of participants in the club, and I received a list. The first person on the list was Alex Fuentes, so I called them.
And what were you able to learn from Mr. Cifuentes?
I was able to schedule an interview with Ms. Fuentes, where she was able to provide me with screenshots of an incriminating conversation she had with the defendant, where he stated that he was going to trash Brackman's house if he was not allowed back on the mock trial team.
Let the record reflect, it is expected that the witness is looking at a clean and unmarked copy of what has been previously marked as exhibits 14 and exhibit 14. Do you see this exhibit in front of you, Ms. Markowitz?
Yes, I do.
And Your Honor, do you have a copy, and members of the jury, do you have a copy of exhibits 14?
I do have a copy of exhibit 14.
Okay. And this was the text messages sent that Mr. Cifuentes gave to you, correct, Ms. Markowitz?
Yes, these are what they provided me with.
Okay. And can you read the last text that Ms. Becker sent in gray?
I'm going to wait until he's at work and then break in and trash it. That'll show him.
Okay. And did you follow up with this information in this, text message with Ms. Becker?
Yes, I attempted to download the contents of Becker's phone and have an interview with Becker. However,
Objection, Your Honor, this exhibit has not been properly entered.
Your Honor, I'd like to enter this exhibit.
Okay. Any objection to admitting the exhibit by the defense?
I still feel that there's a lack of foundation.
My witness has described these exhibits.
I'm going to admit exhibit 14, and I'm going to inform the prosecution that there is still pending determinations on exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Please be aware of that.
Yes, Your Honor. Did you recover any other information from Ms. Becker's phone, Ms. Markowitz?
well, their lawyer was able to provide me with the phone number of Avery Becker's phone.
And what did you learn from the phone number?
I was able to determine the call detail records of Avery Becker's phone on the day of the murder.
And so what are call detail records?
Call detail records indicate the time and location of text messages received to a certain phone number by telling us what cell tower they went through and in which direction.
And what are the specific call detail records on this case?
With the call detail records on this case, we are able to track Avery Becker's location from his first text message received at 12:47 p.m. up until he leaves the Brackman residence at 1:17 p.m.
Let the record reflect, it is expected that the witness is looking at a clean and unmarked copy of Exhibit 15. Judge, Your Honor, do you have Exhibit 15 in front of you?
I do have a copy of Exhibit 15.
And okay. Miss Markowitz, what is depicted in Exhibit 15?
This demonstrates the 3 call towers that Avery Becker's text messages and phone calls that he received during the time of the murder went through, as well as the locations of Becker's house and Brackman's house.
And Miss Markowitz, do you have a copy of Exhibit number 16?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and Your Honor, do you have a copy of Exhibit number 16?
I do.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to move to submit Exhibits 15 and 16 into evidence.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibits 15 and 16 are admitted without objection.
Ms. Markowitz, these are maps that you drew up, correct?
Yes, this is a diagram I created of the call detail records.
Okay. And what in Exhibit 16, what is the blue dotted line?
That is what I believe the most logical path to be from Becker's house to Brackman's house on the day of the murder.
Okay. And on the day of the murder, March 6th, in Exhibits 15 and 16, you show them going across Rock Creek Parkway, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And that is in communication with the 3 nearest cell towers that you have labeled as 1191-1, 1197-1, and 1227-3.
Yes, those are the call towers that they went through.
Objection, Your Honor, leading question.
Response?
Your Honor, the witness is stating the call detail record or the cell tower numbers.
It was a leading question. However, it was foundational, and the court's going to overrule the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then below the numbers that I just listed off, those, can you please read out the times?
Yes, the first text was received at 12:47 p.m. in the call tower 1227-3. The next phone calls and texts were received at 12:55 p.m. through the call tower 1191-1, and the rest of the calls and texts were received through the call tower 1197-1 at 1:05 p.m., 1:06 p.m., and 1:17 p.m.
And Ms. Markowitz, when do Avery Becker's phone records cease to exist?
Avery Becker's phone records cease at about 1:20 p.m., approximately 3 minutes after they would have left the Brackman residence.
And that includes that she had no communication after 1:20 p.m., correct?
Yes, I believe the phone was turned off or placed into airplane mode after that. The phone is untrackable.
Your Honor, I'd like us to revert back to exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in regards to Ms. Markowitz being an expert already as in homicide. I'd like to try and get these readmitted into evidence.
Go ahead, counsel.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
You can go ahead with your direct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Markowitz, you claimed that there was possibly a struggle, yes or no?
Yes, I believe there was well, actually, there may not have been a struggle. It's not possible to determine conclusively because we were not at the crime scene, but a lot of things indicate that it's a possibility.
Like what?
Scuff marks on the floor, a broken plate, a knocked over chair, that kind of thing.
I'd like to revert everybody's attention to exhibit number 9. Your Honor, do you have a copy of exhibit number 9? And Ms. Markowitz, do you have a clean and unmarked copy of exhibit number 9 in front of you?
Yes, I do.
The court has a copy of exhibit 9.
This is a image of the broken plate, correct?
Yes, this is an image of the broken plate taken at the crime scene.
You state that this could be of struggle?
It's a possibility, yes.
Okay. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to enter exhibit number 9 into evidence.
Any objection, defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 9 is admitted without objection. Go ahead, counsel.
Ms. Markowitz, I'm going to revert your attention back to when you found Mr. Brackman's phone on his body, and you said that you went through his phone and started to kind of dive deeper into his life. You said that you found a file called Mock Trial, yes or no?
I did find a group chat called Mock Trial.
Okay. And in this group chat, you said that you already have spoken to Ms. Cifuentes. And what did you learn anything else from the trial? Did you see any other names that stood out to you?
Well, I did learn that Taylor Perkins' phone number was the one that was calling and texting Avery Becker during the time of the murder.
So Ms. Perkins was communicating with Ms. Becker around the times that we have stated already in Exhibit 16. That would be 12:47 p.m., 12:55 p.m., and 1:05 p.m., 1:06 p.m., and 1:17 p.m., correct?
Yes, all calls and texts received by Avery Becker during the time of the murder came from Taylor Perkins.
Thank you for your time, Ms. Markowitz. Thank you for your time, Your Honor. That will be all. No further questions.
Cross-examination by the defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Detective Markowitz. Let's start with your experience. You've been a detective for 7 years, correct?
Yes, but I've been with the DPD for 13 years.
You claim to have specialized training with cell phones?
Yes, I do. I have a certification with the American Academy of Law Enforcement.
This specialized training was a 3-day training course, correct?
Yes, the very rigorous one where I had to pass a certification test at the end.
Let's talk about Alex Cifuentes. Alex did not provide their phone on the day of your interview, correct?
No, but that's understandable considering they thought their peer had murdered their teacher.
You said it wasn't likely that a teenager didn't have their phone with them.
Yes, but the stress makes people forgetful, so it's understandable that they didn't have their phone with them.
You didn't ask Cifuentes to reschedule or have them bring their phone in on a separate date.
No, but I did attempt to download the contents of Avery Becker's phone to confirm. However, I was not able to have access to that because the phone was conveniently missing since March 5th.
Back to Alex, you allowed him to email you screenshots instead.
Yes, they're frequently considered reliable forms of evidence.
And Cifuentes emailed the screenshots the day after the interview, correct?
Yes, they did.
So a whole day had passed before you got the evidence you requested.
Yes, I believe it had passed.
You have training with software that allows you to download the contents of a cell phone, correct?
The Celebrate system, yes.
Yet you didn't bother to use that to download the text messages off of Alex's phone.
I consider the screenshots to be reliable evidence.
Let's talk about your investigation process. You claim good police work requires you to follow up on all possible leads.
Yes, I always follow where the evidence leads me.
You recognized Brockman when you found him.
Yes, I did. I've faced him in court before.
You knew he was a defense attorney?
Yes, I did.
You were aware of the possibility that this murder could have been the work of a previous client.
That was my initial assumption, but the evidence definitely led me elsewhere.
Blair Rowland's father was a client of Brockman's, correct?
Yes, but I did not speak to Rollins.
This ties Blair to Brockman, however?
Yes, but that would apply to almost every case he's tried, and as an experienced litigator, that would be a lot of people that could be potential suspects in your mind.
You spent a month investigating all leads, correct?
Yes, I did.
So you looked into Blair Rowlands, but didn't once mention him in your affidavit.
I don't believe I looked into Blair Rollins very much. No evidence pointed to them.
You signed your affidavit knowing you were required to include anything at all relevant to the case, and you were aware of Blair Rowlands.
Yes, but I found nothing about Blair Rollins to be relevant to the case.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, a very short redirect, please.
All right, go right ahead.
Ms. Markowitz, you have training in Cellubrite system and you are knowledgeable on how to download information from a cell phone, correct?
Yes, I have a certification in those subjects.
You know how to acquire and interpret cellular records and how to obtain cell tower
Objection,
data?
Your Honor. Leading question.
Response?
I'll move on, Your Honor. Your Honor, my apologies. Ms. Markowitz, how many cases have you used your training in?
I've downloaded the contents of hundreds of cell phones, and I've used my training in cell tower technology in over 50 cases.
That will be all. Thank you for your time, Ms. Markowitz.
All right, any recross?
No, Your Honor.
All right, witnesses excused. Next witness, please, for the prosecution.
Your Honor, the people would like to call Kyle Cusack to the stand.
Mr. Cusack, Ms. Cusack, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of law testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, proceed, counsel.
Good afternoon. Please state your name, spell the last for the court.
Kyle Kuzak, K-U-Z-A-K.
And what do you do for a living, Ms. Cusack?
I'm a Colorado Bureau of Investigation certified crime scene reconstructor, also known as the CSR.
And how long have you been working as a CSR?
For the past 19 years, I've worked as a CSR investigating complex crime scenes.
And what does that entail? What do you do in your day-to-day tasks?
My job entails investigating complex crime scenes, including home invasions, burglaries, property crimes, as well as domestic violence, homicides, and fatal accidents.
And where are you working right now?
I've spent my last 3 years with the Denver Police as a civilian employee.
Why have you been called into court today?
I'm here to testify my expert knowledge on the events that happened on March 6th, 2020.
Your Honor, I motion to enter Ms. Cusack as an expert in crime scene analysis, reconstruction, and investigation.
Defense, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
You're so admitted as an expert. Go ahead.
Where were you the evening of March 6th, 2020?
I visited the scene of the homicide at 444 South Flower Street after it had been processed by the other members of Crime Lab.
Why did you arrive after the other members of the crime lab?
As a civilian employee, I let the official police begin their investigation and collect evidence before I began mine.
And what was the first step in that investigation?
I created a witness tracking spreadsheet and an evidence tracking spreadsheet.
Why would you create a document like that?
To organize information and make sure that it could be conveyed in a way that was easy to understand, and to make sure that I'd done a thorough investigation.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that it is expected that the witness has a copy of Exhibit 17 in front of them. Do you have a copy of Exhibit 17?
Yes, I do.
And do you have a copy of Exhibit 17, Your Honor?
Yes, I do.
Can you please describe Exhibit 17 to the jury?
This is a spreadsheet that I mentioned prior.
Your Honor, I move to enter Exhibit 17 into evidence.
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Lack of foundation. The witness did not explain what this exhibit will do. how this exhibit helps is relevant.
Response?
Your Honor, the witness just explained that this is the spreadsheet that they created for the investigation.
I'm going to overrule the objection and allow Exhibit 17.
Thank you, Your Honor. In this report, you mentioned blood droplets, but there's no evidence of this. Why is that?
Yes, the files of the blood droplets became partially corrupted after I was able to complete my investigation with them. But I assure you, I had no problem accessing them for my investigation.
And what was the first step in your investigation after you completed this report?
I established multiple timelines of events that I could determine different possibilities of what could have happened and find the most likely scenario.
All right. And so when do you believe that criminal activity started?
In my professional opinion, I believe that the criminal activity started when the perpetrator tried to open the front door without knocking while wearing a full face mask and found the door locked.
And was there any evidence of this?
Yes, there was a video taken from the victim's Ring doorbell.
Do you have a copy of Exhibit 10? I believe it's a video.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, do you have a copy of Exhibit 10, Your Honor?
Yes.
Can you please describe this to the jury?
Yes, this is the video of the intruder walking up to Mackenzie Brackman's front door.
Thank you. I move to enter Exhibit 10 into evidence.
Any objection by the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Where did the intruder move
10 is
immediately after?
admitted.
Oh,
One
sorry.
moment, counsel. Exhibit 10 is admitted without objection. Go ahead.
I apologize, Your Honor. Where did the intruder move immediately after this video?
The perpetrator moved around to the back of the house where they were caught by another security camera and then caught again by another camera entering the back door.
And was there evidence of this?
Yes, there was Ring video camera footage.
Let the record reflect it is expected that the witness has a copy of Exhibit 12 in front of them. Do you have a copy of this?
Yes, I do.
And do you have a copy, Your Honor?
I do.
Can you please describe to the jury what Exhibit 12 depicts?
Yes, it is a video of the intruder entering Mackenzie Brackman's back door.
Thank you. Your Honor, I motion to enter Exhibit 12 into evidence.
Any objection, defense?
No, Your Honor, no objection.
Exhibit 12 is admitted without objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Based on your professional analysis of this crime scene, what happened near the back door?
I believe that the perpetrator made it inside and the victim ran for the knife block, most likely, if he didn't already have a weapon when the Ring doorbell notification alerted him in the first place.
Thank you. And in your professional opinion, what pieces of evidence led you to believe something happened near the back door?
I believe that something happened near the back door because of the scuff marks by the back door, and that showed the evidence of a struggle.
Were there any other pieces of evidence?
Yes, there was also a broken plate on the floor.
Let the record reflect it is expected that the witness is looking at a copy of Exhibit 18. Do you have a copy of this in front of you?
Yes, I do.
And do you have a copy, Your Honor?
I do.
Thank you. Can you please describe to the jury what Exhibit 18 depicts?
It is a photo of the scuff marks by the back door.
And in your professional opinion, what do these scuff marks indicate?
These scuff marks indicate that there was a struggle within the back door.
Thank you. And taking a look at your professional analysis of this crime scene, are there any indications of what might have happened after the struggle?
Yes, there is a missing knife from the knife block on the kitchen counter. This also happens to be the biggest knife, which is a likely candidate for the murder.
Thank you. Do you have Exhibits 5 and 8?
I do.
All right. Can you please describe these exhibits to the jury?
Yes, Exhibit 5 is a picture of the knife that was used as the murder weapon, and Exhibit 8 is of the knife block.
Thank you. I move to enter Exhibits 5 and 8 into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Exhibits 5 and 8 are admitted without objection.
Comparing Exhibits 5 and 8, is there anything odd about the brand of the murder weapon compared to the other knives in the block?
Yes, in Exhibit 5, the knife is of the Chicago Cutlery brand, which does not match the brand of the knives in Exhibit 8.
And in your professional opinion, where did the original knife go missing from the block?
Well, I believe that it is highly likely that the original knife is actually on the left side of the kitchen drawer that was open.
Thank you. Did the perpetrator come with a weapon?
In my professional opinion, I do not believe that the perpetrator came with a weapon because there is no sign of that in the Ring video doorbell videos.
Thank you. And in your professional opinion, why would the perpetrator come to the house without a weapon?
I believe that it is highly likely that the perpetrator did not have any intent to murder Mackenzie Brackman.
Taking a look at the do you have a copy of Exhibit 14 in front of you?
Yes.
Taking a look at those texts, what would you say the intent of the sender of those messages was?
One second, I'm so sorry. Exhibit 14, you said?
Yep.
And would you repeat the question, please?
What would you say the intent of the sender was?
I believe that the intent was only to break and enter, not to murder.
Thank you. Moving back to the struggle, which person do you believe grabbed the knife first, the victim or the perpetrator?
I believe that it is more likely for the victim to have grabbed the knife to defend themselves first.
And Detective Van Owen has a theory that the victim snuck up and surprised the perpetrator. Could this be the case?
I believe that this theory is extremely flawed.
After the crime scene was analyzed, was this body examined by a professional?
Yes, it was examined by a coroner.
Do you have a copy of Exhibit 19 in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Can you please describe this to the jury?
Yes, this is the coroner's report.
Thank you.
And
Do you have a copy of that, Your Honor?
I do.
I move to enter Exhibit 19 into evidence.
Objection by the defense? Any?
No.
Defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Exhibit 19 is admitted without objection.
And what does this report indicate?
This report indicates that Mr. Brackman was stabbed through his heart into his aorta.
So essentially, this report proves that Professor Van Owen's theory of a surprise attack is incorrect?
Yes, it does.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, cross-examination by the defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, counsel.
Ms. Cusack, you visited the scene of the homicide after it was processed by other members of the crime lab?
Yes, that is correct.
There were scuff marks found at the scene of, my bad, let me rephrase, no. There were scuff marks found on the kitchen floor at the scene of the murder, correct?
Objection,
Yes,
Your Honor,
correct.
asked and answered.
Response?
Your Honor, I'm just trying to further understand her opinion on the scuff marks found at the scene.
Objection is overruled. Go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
May I repeat my question, Your Honor?
Yes.
There were scuff marks found on the kitchen floor at the scene of the murder, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
You stated the scuff marks could have been the result of some sort of struggle, correct?
Yes, I believe that that is the most likely scenario.
Those scuff marks could have been created before the homicide occurred?
Yes, that is entirely possible.
So just to clarify, there is no definitive way to tell when those scuff marks were created.
Yes, that is correct.
Now let's move on to the Ring security app. You stated that the Ring app could have alerted Mr. Brackman to the presence of an intruder on his cell phone, correct?
Yes, I did. I said that that is a very likely scenario and most likely that it alerted him.
Brackman's phone was not at any point obtained for further investigation on the security app?
Yes, that is correct.
Brackman could have turned off his notifications to his phone?
Yes, that is correct. However, in my professional opinion, after doing an investigation on Brackman, it is highly unlikely that with the Ring app on his phone, he had the notifications turned off.
Let's move on to the blood splatter found at the scene. You reviewed the photographs of the blood droplets and the blood trail found at the scene, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
These pictures were later lost at some point in the investigation?
Yes, the files were partially corrupted. However, I had no problem reviewing them when I was doing my investigation.
So part of your opinion was based off of pictures that cannot be seen here in court today?
Yes, that is correct.
Let's move on. Your Honor, permission for the witness to view Exhibit 6?
Yes.
Let the record reflect. I'm showing the witness what has previously been marked as Exhibit 6. Ms. Cusack, do you recognize Exhibit 6?
Yes, this is the knife that was used as a murder weapon.
Is the exhibit you are viewing a complete and accurate copy of the one you used in your investigation?
Yes.
How do you know?
This is the exhibit that I was able to view when I was completing my investigation.
Your Honor, I now move to admit Exhibit 6.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 6 is admitted without objection.
Your Honor, permission to publish to the jury by sharing my screen.
Go right ahead.
I now show you what has been marked for identification as exhibit number 6. This knife, identified as the murder weapon, was indeed a different brand of knife than the ones found in the knife block in Mr. Brackman's kitchen, correct?
Yes, that is true. It is of the Chicago Cutlery brand, which is actually a very high quality brand knife. So it is very plausible that he was keeping it in the knife block to make sure it's safe and used in a correct manner for cooking.
So that is a yes to my answer?
Yes.
The idea that the suspect could have brought the weapon into Brackman's home himself was never really considered?
I considered it. However, I very early dismissed it because I did not think that it was a high possibility.
You didn't find it necessary to consider all possibilities before coming to a conclusion?
I did consider all the possibilities because that is my job. I completed a very thorough investigation and I did dismiss some ideas earlier. However, I was able to make sure that all of my timelines were examined.
Let the record reflect that I've stopped sharing my screen.
All right, thank you.
Let's move on. The intruder was wearing gloves, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So there was no DNA found at the scene besides that of Mr. Brackman's?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Right, the witness is excused. Next witness for the prosecution. Does the prosecution wish to call another witness?
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, counsel.
Okay,
Is
I'm
this
sorry
Mr.
about that.
Towers? How do you pronounce your last name?
Tours.
Mr. Tours, I can hear you fine.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, the prosecution would like to call witness Alex Fuentes to the stand.
Ms. Fuentes, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm under penalty of law testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please state your full legal name and spell the last for the record.
Alex Cifuentes, Sifuentes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today, Alex Fuentes. Alex, are you a student?
I am.
And what school do you go to?
CHS or Colorado High School.
And what grade are you in?
I'm a senior.
And are there any extracurricular activities that you participated in with Colorado High School?
Yes, I participated in mock trial.
And did you have any friends in mock trial?
Avery Becker.
How do you know Avery Becker?
We met in high school.
And did you meet Avery Becker in mock trial?
No, I met her outside.
So are you two friends outside of mock trial or just in the club?
We don't really hang out outside of school or anything like that.
And how would you describe Avery Becker?
I would describe him as lazy and unmotivated, though pretty talented at making things up on the fly. However, his antics did not hold up well with the rest of our team.
What exactly do you mean when referring to Avery's antics?
Well, Avery was often unprepared and constantly late, Objection, and always left the team in the...
Hold on, witness, there's an objection. Defense, what is your objection?
My objection is lacked knowledge on the statements of Avery's work ethic. There's no way for the witness to actually discern what the work ethic of the defendant is.
Response?
Your Honor, we've already established that this was a habitual activity that they were both involved in, and so I'm simply asking my witness to testify to a specific interaction. She stated the word antics, so that's an interaction that they had with mock trial in the team, being that they were both competitively involved in that.
Thank you. The court's going to overrule the objection. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. So what exactly do you mean to referring to Avery's antics?
Well, Avery was constantly unprepared and late and left the team in a constant state of anxiety, but he really bit it in the butt when he drew wrote on Coach Brackman's white Porsche with permanent marker.
So the incident you just described, when did that occur?
Right after one of our trials, as we were going over what we needed to do better the next trial, Coach Brackman and Avery got in another fight and he kicked Avery out.
And Mr. Brackman is the the coach of your team?
He is.
Objection, Your Honor, leading question.
Response?
Your Honor, I'll restate my question.
Go ahead,
Did your
counsel.
team, thank you, Your Honor. Did your team have a coach or authority position?
Yes, Coach Mackenzie Brackman.
And what did you observe about the interactions between Mackenzie Brackman and Avery Becker from what you observed?
Well, from what I observed, every time Avery was late or unprepared, the tension between her and Mr. Brackman, or him and Mr. Brackman, would increase each time.
All right. And how did you feel about Mr. Brackman in the role as his coach, as coach of the team?
Well, he was a very talented litigator outside of being a mock trial coach, so I felt the team was in good hands.
Objection, Your Honor, lack of personal knowledge.
Response?
Your Honor, I'm simply asking my witness to testify to how they specifically felt as the role of the team, as the coach, and it is included within their affidavit. They described how they felt about the coach.
I'm going to overrule. I'm sorry, anything further from the defense?
Yes, I am specifically referencing the statement of Mr. Brackman was a talented litigator. There is no way for the witness to have observed this in any capacity.
Further
Your
response?
Honor, Your Honor, I can find this unnecessary. I can move on.
All right, go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you say that you and Avery bonded over your visions for the team?
I feel I cared more about mock trial than Avery did. I feel like his priorities were often elsewhere compared to mine and those of those in the team. However, we did push each other to be better.
And did these differences make you feel differently about Avery as a friend at all?
Not as a friend, but it did show me the more lazy side of him, but we stayed close through it all, especially through all the tension.
Awesome, thank you. Moving on, I'm referring to exhibit number 14. Let the record reflect that it is expected that the witness is looking at a clean and unmarked copy of what was previously marked as exhibit number 14. Mr. Fuentes, do you have this exhibit in front of you?
Yes.
And could you please explain to me what you see in front of you?
These are the text messages that Avery sent to me on March 6th.
And were you surprised that, thank you. And were you surprised that Avery Becker texted you these?
Well, given that we are very close, I'm not surprised. However, I was upset.
And had you seen Avery behave in this manner towards Mr. Brackman before?
No, up until the marker incident.
So Avery Becker, from what you observed, demonstrated a capacity for vindictive decision-making?
Objection, Your
From what
Honor.
I observed, yes.
There's an objection. Go ahead, counsel.
Yes, Your Honor, objection, leading question.
All right. Response?
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Are you withdrawing the question, counsel?
Yes, I will withdraw the question, Your Honor.
All right. And then are you, is your direct ended?
Yes, the prosecution rests, Your Honor.
Well, let's cross-examination, please. Any?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead,
Good.
counsel.
My apologies. Good morning, Ms. Cifuentes. Let's begin. You claim to be good friends with Avery Becker, correct?
Correct.
Although you and Avery only spent time together within mock trial and related events?
Yes, we both had pretty busy lives.
You also felt that Avery had no real talent when it came to the mock trial team?
Objection, argumentative.
Response?
Your Honor, this is the witness's own terms as used in their affidavit.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead, counsel.
Permission to restate.
Apologize, can you please repeat the question?
Go ahead,
Yes,
counsel.
Ms. The question was, you also felt that Avery had no real talent when it came to the mock trial team?
Yes, he tended to make things up on the fly.
It upsets you that Avery got such large roles on the team?
At times, yes.
The fact that Avery earned multiple awards despite his lack of work was very upsetting to you?
It was upsetting to me, yes.
You felt that the team was better off without Avery once he was removed?
Objection,
Yes,
lack of foundation.
There's an objection. Well, what is the objection, counsel?
Lack of foundation, Your Honor.
Response?
Your Honor, the witness has previously testified on direct about Avery's antics and how it left the team feeling. As far as for this particular cross-examination, the witness has already established that they personally had jealousy or envy of Avery at times.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead, Counsel Firkus.
Permission to restate my question.
Go ahead.
The fact that Avery, wait, my apologies. I want to make sure I'm asking the right question. Yes, you felt the team was better off without Avery once he was removed.
Yes, I believe the anxiety lifted off the team was beneficial.
You were looking forward to getting larger roles with Avery off of the team.
I suppose so.
Let's discuss Exhibit 14 to remind everybody that is the screenshots of the text message conversation between Ms. Cifuentes and Mr. Becker. Detective Markowitz called you in for an interview regarding information on your phone, correct?
Yes, she did.
However, you didn't bring your phone with you to the interview.
No, I accidentally forgot it.
You didn't realize you had forgotten your phone at any point on the way to the interview.
No, I was very stressed.
Detective Markowitz didn't ask you to bring in your phone at a later time.
No, she did not. She said
Instead-
screenshots would suffice.
Instead, she had you email her screenshots of the alleged messages.
Yes.
You traded in your phone even knowing it contained evidence?
Yeah, the battery was really bad, so yes, I traded it in and got a new one.
So yes, you were aware that it contained evidence at the time you traded it in.
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead, Counsel.
So yes, you are aware that your phone contained evidence at the time you traded it in.
I submitted the evidence to Detective Markowitz. And the guy
Please
would
answer my question with a yes or no.
Yes, but I already submitted the evidence.
So you no longer have direct access to those text messages.
I do not. I don't know where the phone is now.
Let's confirm. You claim to have received text messages with threats from Avery Becker about breaking into Mr. Brackman's home.
Yes.
Despite receiving these messages, you at no point found it necessary to warn Mr. Brackman prior to his death.
No,
Nor did you ever go to the authorities.
I did not think that Avery was going there to kill Mr. Brackman.
You didn't find that threats to break into someone's home was relevant enough to go to the authorities with?
Objection. Lack of personal knowledge as well as argumentative.
Response.
Your Honor, this is not argumentative. I'm just clarifying with the witness that they were aware of this threat and did not go to the authorities. And it is within the witness's personal knowledge if they went to the authorities or not.
Overrule the objection. Go ahead, Counsel.
To restate my question, you didn't find that threats to break into someone's home was enough to go to the authorities?
Well, I suppose not.
In fact, even after Mr. Brackman was killed, you didn't reach out to the authorities. Detective Markowitz contacted you.
Yes, I had not been aware of Mr. Brackman's death.
Let's talk about March 5th, 2020. You saw Avery Becker at the Fry Shack that night, correct?
Yes.
And at some point that night, you were in possession of Mr. Becker's phone.
Yes, he let me play games on it.
Let's move on. You are aware that Mr. Brackman previously represented the student of the parent of a student at your school. My apologies, I can rephrase if you.
Objection. Relevant.
Response.
Your
I
Honor,
think
this
just so that I'm clear, I think the question was withdrawn, and that's what I heard. And then I heard an objection. Could I hear the question again?
Your Honor, I did not withdraw the question, but I will
right.
restate it. You
Go
are
ahead.
aware that Mr. Brackman had previously represented the parent of a student at your school.
Yeah, he liked to do stuff like that for students.
Do I need to argue the objection at this time, Your Honor?
No. Go right ahead. Continue with your cross.
You attended school with Blair Rollins also, correct?
I did.
You don't know where Blair Rollins is now?
No.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We're not
No
really
further-
friends.
Does that complete your cross, Ms. Firkus?
As the witness started to answer as I was speaking, I would like to ask one more question.
Go right ahead.
Ms. Cifuentes, you saw Blair Rollins at your school, though, in hallways, etc.
Yeah, but we barely knew each other enough to say hi or bye.
But you did know each other well enough to say hello and goodbye in the hallways.
Barely.
And you have not seen Blair Rollins in those said hallways since Mr. Brackman was killed, correct?
Correct, but we're not friends, so I don't really think too much about it.
I was not asking what you thought, just simply if you have seen Blair Rollins.
No, I have not.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to offer a redirect.
Go ahead.
Mr. Fuentes, you mentioned that you and Rollins were not great friends, correct?
No, we are not.
And do you think it's possible that if someone's not great friends with you, that you might not see them in the halls?
I find it possible, yeah.
Time.
Time.
The prosecution rests, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Any recross, Ms. Firkus?
No recross based on that redirect, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. The witness is excused. And I understood, Mr. Tours, that you are resting. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, Your Honor.
All right, is the defense ready to present any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, one moment before you do, let's give the scoring panelists just a few seconds to catch up on their scoring, and then I'll start with your next witness, okay? And Ms. Miller, who do you wish to call as your first witness?
Your Honor, the defense wishes to call Avery Becker to the stand.
All right. In just one moment, Mr. Becker, and we'll start with your testimony in a second, okay? All right, Mr. Becker, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Counsel, go ahead with your questioning, please.
Good morning, Mr. Becker. Please state your name and spell your last for the record.
My name is Avery Becker, Becker.
Why are you here today?
I am being unfairly accused of murdering Mr. Brackman.
Let's start by talking about Mr. Brackman. How did you and Mr. Brackman know each other?
He was my mock trial coach for all 4 years of high school.
How was your relationship with Mr. Brackman?
It was like a family relationship where you spend a lot of time together. You know, I love mock trials, so I spent a lot of time on it. It's a passion of mine. And so we would often get into arguments, but I would say that there were a lot of other good times as well. Often the arguments were about my work ethic. He thought that I didn't put enough work into my crosses and directs, even though they had won awards. And that was just discouraging because I appreciated his opinion. And, you know, it was discouraging for him to say that.
Did you have any other opinions about Mr. Brackman?
I thought he was a pretty good coach. He got our team to a place where we were able to be competitive and we were able to compete in tournaments and win awards. And so I appreciate him and respect him for that.
Let's move on to the vandalizing incident. Did you ever mend things with Mr. Brackman?
I tried to meet him at his office, but was unsuccessful.
How did you feel after realizing you'd used a permanent marker by mistake?
I really regretted my actions. I didn't think the damage would be permanent. And so, you know, I just wish that he was still alive so I'd be able to properly apologize to him.
What lengths did you go to apologize?
I also sent him a text to try and
Objection, Your
apologize,
Honor.
but he never responded.
There's an objection. Go ahead, counsel. What's your objection?
Calls for narration.
Response?
I'm sorry. I'm not sure I understand the objection. Narration?
Counsel?
Asking a leading question would be a better objection.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead, Ms. Miller.
May I re-ask the question?
Yes.
What lengths did you go to apologize to Brackman?
I sent him a text.
Objection, Your Honor. Unfair extrapolation.
Response?
Your Honor, this is not unfair extrapolation. I'm simply asking what lengths my witness went to apologize to the coach.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead with your answer, Mr. Becker.
I also sent him a text to apologize.
What was mentioned in that text?
I apologize sincerely. I said again that I didn't think the marker was permanent marker. I thought it was just dry erase. I said I would get a job to try and pay for a new coat of paint if I could, or work really hard to try and scrub the writing off because I really regretted what I did.
Let's talk about March 5th, the day before Mr. Brackman was murdered. What did you do on March 5th?
Taylor and I went to the Fry Shack
An
and played
objection,
games on
Mr.
our
Lowry?
phones after school.
Your Honor, narrative.
Response?
Your Honor, this is not narrative. I'm just asking what my witness did the day before the murder, which is definitely relevant.
Okay. Overrule the objection. Go ahead, Mr. Becker.
Taylor and I, after school, we went to the Fry Shack and played games on our phones.
Who did you see at the Fry Shack?
There were a bunch of other mock trial students, including Alex Fuentes.
Who is Alex Fuentes?
She's another student at our school and a mock trial member.
Did the two of you interact at the Fry Shack?
Yeah, I let her borrow my phone.
Were you friends with Alex?
No, we were always competing for the number one spot on the team, like the best attorney awards. So we were more enemies than friends.
What happened at the Fry Shack?
Somehow I lost my phone. I don't know how it happened, but I lost my phone.
When did you realize that your phone was missing?
I realized it the next morning.
What did you do after finding out your phone was missing?
Well, Taylor and I went to the Fry Shack and the mall and we tried looking for it, but we couldn't find it anywhere, even if we tried calling it.
What happened when you tried to call the phone?
It would just go straight to voicemail, which meant that it was either dead or stolen.
Who would have had the opportunity to steal your phone?
Alex Fuentes would have had the perfect opportunity since I let her borrow my phone at the Fry Shack.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection. What's your basis?
Unfair extrapolation.
Response?
Your Honor, this is not unfair extrapolation. This actually falls under proper lay opinion, Rule 701. The statement is rationally based on the witness's perception.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead.
May I re-ask the question?
Yes.
Who would have had the opportunity to steal your phone?
Alex Fuentes would have had the perfect opportunity since I let her borrow my phone at the Fry Shack.
What happened regarding Alex in your phone?
Well, Alex claims to have received texts from me saying that I needed help getting back on the mock trial team and that I was going to go trash Mr. Brackman's house, which I would not ask Alex for help. Alex would be the last person I would ask for help. And I would never go as far as to trash Mr. Brackman's house. That would be way too far.
Would you text Alex in a situation such as this?
No. You know, as I said, we were enemies, and Alex would be the last person I would ask for help.
Let's talk about Blair Rollins. Who is Blair Rollins?
Blair Rollins is another student at our school.
How do you and Blair know each other?
Well, from what I know, Alex and Blair are friends.
How is Blair relevant to the case?
Blair's father was thrown in jail. Blair's father was represented by Mr. Brackman in court, and Mr. Brackman lost the case, getting Blair's father thrown in jail.
What information do you have regarding Blair, Alex, and your phone?
I believe that they have tried to set me up for trashing Mr. Brackman's
Objection,
house.
Your Honor. Hearsay.
Response?
Your Honor, I would just like to ask which statement is hearsay in this.
Mr. Lowry?
Mr. Becker is continuing about what he believes is going on.
Response?
Your Honor, there's still no statement that hearsay is being applied to.
The Roland questions that you just asked, counsel?
So I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead, Ms. Miller.
All right. May I re-ask the question?
Yes.
What information do you have regarding Blair, Alex, and your cell phone?
I think they tried to set me up since, well, if I was kicked out of the team forever, then Alex would be able to win all of the awards and be the best person on the team, which she's wanted ever since being in mock trial.
What similarities do you share with Blair Rollins?
We're about the same height and build, so anybody could mistake us.
What do you know about Blair's current whereabouts?
To my knowledge, Blair has not been seen since the murder.
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
Response.
Your Honor, it has already been established previously in Alex's testimony that Blair has not been seen since this occurred.
All right, I'm going to sustain the objection. Please move on to something else.
That was actually my final question. Thank you. No further questions.
All right. Mr. Lowry, any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Becker, did you kill your teacher?
No, I would never do that.
What's your connection to Mr. Brackman?
He was my mock trial coach for all 4 years of high school.
So you knew him for 4 years. Did you get along with him? A yes or no will suffice.
Sorry?
A yes or no will suffice, Mr. Becker.
Well, we had a complex relationship. So, we would often argue. It was like a family relationship where we spent a lot of time together. So, we would often argue, but we'd also have a lot of good times.
Okay. And what did Mr. Brackman think about you?
He thought I didn't put enough time and effort into my directs and crosses, even though they have won awards.
Did he ever call you names like lazy?
Yes, he would say that.
Okay. And would you say that was the basis of kind of why you started to not get along, was the name calling and you thought that he had a big ego?
Yeah, at certain times it felt that way.
Okay. May you please refer to your witness statement, Mr. Brackman? Do you have that next to you?
I do.
May you please read lines 29 through 31 out loud?
It's hard to like someone who is just naturally
Objection, Your Honor. It has not been made clear exactly what statement my witness is being impeached for.
Mr. Lowry, your response?
Your Honor, I just want if I can just read the witness statement just regarding a couple more questions in my line of questioning.
Your Honor, may I respond?
No, I'm going to sustain the objection and state that that is improper impeachment. Go ahead, Mr. Lowry.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm sustaining the objection to the form in which you were using the statement.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to move on from that line of questioning. What happened at the regional tournament, Mr. Becker?
I won the Best Attorney Award.
Would you go into a little bit more about what also happened? Was there anything else that happened at the regional tournament?
Well, the practice afterwards, Mr. Brackman and I got into a fight, if that's what you mean.
Yes, that is the altercation. That is the altercation that I'm referring to. What did the altercation result to?
Well, I wrote on Mr. Brackman's car. In the heat of the moment, I was very angry. I didn't think it would be permanent damage.
Mr. Becker, before that, I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt. But before you wrote on Mr. Becker's car, were you demoted off of a team?
Yes, I was demoted before regionals.
Okay, and was being put on B team upsetting?
Yeah, mock trial is a passion of mine, and I spent a lot of time on it. And so being demoted to B team was annoying because I felt like I could have a lot more potential on the A team.
Okay, and then the altercation that you've described is you vandalizing Mr. Brackman's Porsche, correct?
That is correct.
And then he kicked you off the team after this, correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Becker, did you state that you would get back at him if it was the last thing that you did?
Yeah, I told my mom that, but that was just when I was extremely angry and frustrated. You
Did
know,
you
it
tell
didn't
your
really mean
mom,
anything.
Mr. Becker, did you tell your mom about the card that you vandalized?
No, I did not.
So
I was really ashamed of myself, so I didn't want my mom to be ashamed of me.
did you lie to your mom about the car?
Well, I just didn't tell her about it.
Okay. Your Honor, let the record reflect that Mr. Becker, do you have a clean and unmarked copy of Exhibit 14 next to you?
Let me go to Exhibit 14. Yes, I do.
Your Honor, do you have a copy of Exhibit 14?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Becker, I would like you to read out loud the texts in gray.
I'm sure you're aware that I got kicked off the team. I'm pretty desperate to get back on. Is there any way you'd be willing to talk to Coach Brackman about having me back? Do you want me to read all the statements in gray?
Yes, please.
Come on, please. It's really important to me. Well, if he's upset about his car, then he's going to be really upset when he sees what I do to his house. I'm going to wait until he's at work and then break in at trash him. That'll show him.
And why did you reach out to Mr. Cifuentes? I thought you two had no genuine relationship.
I did not reach out to
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Cifuentes.
My witness denies ever.
I'm sorry, what's your objection?
Sorry, my witness denies ever making these statements, and proper foundation has not been laid for why he's reading these text messages.
Mr. Lowry, response?
Your Honor, we can move on.
Go ahead. Are you
Mr.
question?
Yeah, I need a minute. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Take a moment, Mr. Lowry, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Becker, sorry, I'm getting over the flu over here. Mr. Becker, may you please refer to your relationship? Can you describe your relationship with Mr. Cifuentes to us?
Well, Alex and I are both people on mock trial team, and Alex and I have always been competing for the #1 spot on the team and for like the best attorney awards.
So there's genuine competition between you and Mr. Cifuentes.
That is correct.
Okay. And Mr. Cifuentes, and you call, I quote, Mr. Cifuentes a brown noser. Yes or no?
That's correct.
You state, I don't know why Alex pretends we are friends. We have never gotten along. Yes or no?
That is correct.
Your Honor, now I feel like I've laid proper foundation for Mr. Becker to read out loud, for us to revert back to when Mr. Becker read out loud the text messages in gray regarding his conversation between Mr. Cifuentes and himself, where he states that he will break into the house and trash it.
All right. For any response?
Yes, Your Honor. Once again, my witness denies ever sending these texts as his phone was stolen at this time.
Okay.
Overrule the objection. Go ahead, Mr. Becker.
You want me to read them again?
No, it's okay. I think that we all have seen them and read them, and you already have read them out loud. There's no need for us to do that. But Mr. Becker, where were you on March 6th?
March 5th?
6th.
6th.
Yes.
Taylor and I spent the whole day looking for my phone.
Did you ever find it?
No, we never found it.
That's a bummer. Your Honor, I'd like to refer to exhibit number 15. Mr. Becker, do you have a clean and unmarked copy of exhibit number 15 in front of you?
I do.
Your Honor, do you have exhibit number 15 next to you?
Are you asking the court?
Yes, sir.
Yes, exhibit 15 I have. Go ahead.
This map shows the location of the cell towers provided by expert witness Ms. Jordan Markowitz, laying the possible cell towers that your phone could have communicated to Mr. Becker. And did you receive communication with Ms. Perkins? on
Yes, I did.
March 6th. Do you remember the times that you received communication from her?
Well, she tried texting me, but I didn't respond because I didn't have my phone. And she tried calling my phone so that we could try and find it.
All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, the witness is excused. Next witness for the defense.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense would like to call witness Taylor Perkins to the stand.
All right. And let me just give the scoring panelists a moment to complete their scores. And then I'll swear the witness and you can start your direct examination. All right. Can I have the witness raise their right hand? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of law the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, counsel, with your questions on direct.
Good morning, Ms. Perkins. Please state your name and spell your last for the record.
My name is Taylor Perkins, Perkins.
How do you know the victim, Mr. Brackman?
Mr. Brackman was my mock trial coach when I was in high school.
And how do you know the defendant, Avery Becker?
Avery Becker is a close friend of mine, and we spent a lot of time together on mock trial.
Based on your observations, how would you describe the interactions between Mr. Brackman and Mr. Becker?
Well, they bickered a lot, mostly over Avery's work ethic and preparation for mock trial.
How would you characterize the relationship?
Well, like I said, they had some disagreements, but to me, it didn't seem anything out of the ordinary for a coach-student relationship. I honestly found it kind of funny.
Why do you believe that Mr. Brackman and Mr. Becker got into conflicts?
I believe.
Objection, speculation.
Response?
Your Honor, under Rule 701, proper opinion by a lay witness, this is rationally based in Ms. Perkins' perception, as she has already established that she was on the mock trial team that Mr. Brackman coached and was on there with Avery and is close friends with Avery. She was witness to these altercations on a regular basis, and it's rationally based in her perception.
Any further response from the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor. She can testify to interactions and what happened on the team, but it's completely speculation to say what she believes, why she believes someone felt about this when they are not the person testifying to it. So it is not included beneath that rule.
I'm going to sustain the objection and have the witness limit her responses to the observations and not her beliefs.
All right. Ms. Perkins, what were some of the consequences of the ongoing conflict between Mr. Brackman and Mr. Becker?
Well, one of the biggest consequences that really affected me personally was at a practice before the regional tournament, Coach Brackman removed Avery from the A team of mock trial.
What did you do when Mr. Becker was removed from the A team?
Well, I thought it was really unfair. Avery had been a part of mock trial for 4 years, really had a passion for it, but I didn't really have that same passion. I don't really even want to be a lawyer. So I removed myself from the A team so that Coach Brackman would have no choice but to put Avery back on.
After you stepped down, how did the team perform at the regional tournament?
They did really well. Avery got a couple awards, and it just goes to show that I made the right decision.
Ms. Perkins, Avery Becker just testified on direct about the events that led him to be removed from the mock trial team completely. Did you and Mr. Becker speak of those events?
We did. Avery talked to me about them later that evening.
What did you and Mr. Becker discuss about those events?
Well, we discussed ways for Avery to get back on the mock trial team because he did have such a passion for it, which included him reaching out to other members of the team to see if they could contact Brackman.
How did you perceive Mr. Becker to feel in these discussions?
Avery seemed remorseful.
Let's discuss March 5th, 2020. That's the night before Mr. Brackman was killed. Did you see Avery Becker that day?
I did. Avery came over to my house that evening.
What did you and Mr. Becker do that night?
We played some video games at my house, and then we got hungry, so we went to the Fry Shack.
Who else was at the Fry Shack that night?
Most of the mock trial team members were also there, including one of Avery's least favorite people, Alex Cifuentes.
How do you know Alex Cifuentes?
They were also a member of the mock trial team. Alex was actually a year younger than Avery and I, and so neither of us were very close with Alex.
What was the interaction with Alex Cifuentes like that particular night?
Well, Alex seemed pretty insincere in expressing how unfair it was with Avery, and understandably this made Avery upset, so Avery stormed off to the bathroom.
When did you and Mr. Becker leave the Fry Shack that night?
Immediately after Avery returned from the bathroom, we left and we went to the mall.
Where was Mr. Becker's phone when you left the Fry Shack?
Well, I remembered Avery leaving his phone on the table when he went to the bathroom, but I didn't remember him picking it up when we left, and so I believe it was there.
What happened the next morning? That would be March 6th, 2020.
March 6th started out like any ordinary day. Avery came to my house and picked me up for school.
Is it common for you to get a ride from Avery to school?
Yeah, we rode together a lot.
Did Avery have his phone with him that morning?
No, he didn't. I had tried messaging him that morning just to clarify that he was coming to pick me up, and I hadn't heard anything. So when he did show up to my house, I just kind of jokingly mentioned like, hey, I didn't hear from you, and that's when we realized he didn't have his phone.
What did you do after realizing that Avery's phone was missing?
Well, we decided that it would be pretty important to look for his phone, so we decided to retrace our steps from the night before in attempts of finding it.
Were you able to find Avery's phone?
Unfortunately, we weren't able to.
Ms. Perkins, were you with Avery Becker for the majority of the day on March 6th, 2020?
Yes, definitely.
Who saw you and Avery together that day?
Well, like I said, we retraced our steps. So we went back to the mall and we went back to the Fry Shack for both the morning and afternoon shift. So we were in public places all day, as well as that afternoon at the Fry Shack, we did run into some members of the mock trial team again. So they would have seen us as well.
When did you find out that Mr. Brackman had been killed?
I found out later after I had seen those members of the mock trial team at the Fry Shack, just kind of the same time as everyone else.
Let's move on and discuss Blair Rollins. Who is Blair Rollins, Ms. Perkins?
Blair Rollins was also a student at CHS.
Who was Blair Rollins friends with?
From what
Objection.
I could tell,
Hearsay.
Sorry, your objection, counsel?
Objection. Hearsay. Blair Rollins isn't here to testify that who she was friends with.
Response?
Your Honor, this is not hearsay. Ms. Perkins is simply testifying to who Blair Rollins was friends with. She will respond with Alex Cifuentes, who is here to testify today. And Blair Rollins is viewed as an alternate suspect by the defense, which will be later expressed in Professor Van Owen's testimony, and therefore is relevant. The hearsay is admissible, as well as it is based off of all of Ms. Perkins' present sense impressions of being around the school and recollecting those.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead, Ms. Perkins.
so from what I could tell, Blair Rollins was close friends with Alex.
Is there any connection you're aware of between Mr. Rollins and Mr. Brackman?
Actually,
Objection.
yes.
Objection. Hearsay. Hearsay and improper lay opinion.
I heard your response, your objection. Can I hear a response from the defense? Any?
Your Honor, Ms. Cifuentes already testified that she was aware of the fact that Mr. Brackman had previously represented a student, the parent of a student at high school. That is the connection I am referring to between Mr. Brackman and Mr. Rollins. If Alex Cifuentes knew that within her own general knowledge, it is extremely probable that Ms. Perkins would also have that knowledge, as it is the same relationship between Mr. Brackman as Ms. Cifuentes has.
I'm going to overrule the objection with regards to hearsay and allow the witness to testify. Go ahead.
So it was pretty common knowledge at our high school that Coach Brackman had represented Blair's dad in a court case that got him sent to jail. So there was that connection.
My apologies, my computer has frozen. Could we restate what happened in the last 30 seconds or so?
Ms. Perkins, could you repeat your response, please?
Yes. So it was pretty common knowledge at our high school that Coach Brackman had represented Blair's dad in a court case that got him sent to jail. So there was that connection.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Perkins. Final question. Have you seen Blair Rollins since Mr. Brackman was killed?
I have not, and I don't believe anyone else has either.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. May I begin, Your Honor?
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Perkins, you were very close to Avery Becker, weren't you?
Yes, we were very close.
And from what you observed, Avery didn't much like Coach Brackman.
I think they just had disagreements.
And you had disagreements with Brackman and his merit as a coach and lawyer as well, correct?
I don't believe so.
You do not? Could you please, I will ask you to refer to your witness statement. Do you have that in front of you?
I do.
Could you please read lines 6 to 8 on your witness statement?
Give me 1 second, please.
Absolutely.
Would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Starting at Avery.
Yes, please, the starting sentence.
Avery and I thought Brackman was a mediocre coach and an even more mediocre lawyer. Coach Brackman made bad choices for the team, and I would guess he didn't do any better for his clients.
So to reiterate my question, you had some clashes with Coach Brackman as a coach and lawyer, correct?
Well, I didn't say I had clashes.
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes,
Clashes.
what is your objection?
Clashes and being mediocre are two completely different words, and therefore the impeachment was improper on that effect.
Response?
Your Honor, I'll restate my question.
Go ahead.
Ms. Perkins, you did not believe that Coach Brackman was a very good coach, correct?
No, not necessarily.
And from what you observed and talked with your friend Avery Becker about, Avery Becker did not either.
No, like I said, they got in frequent disagreements.
And do you believe that you were good on the team?
I believe I was pretty good. I was probably like second best to Avery.
And you felt the same about Avery, that he was also good?
Yes, Avery was very talented, like naturally, really good.
So much so that you stepped down for him so he could have your position on the team in the event of his
Objection,
removal,
Your
correct?
Honor. Relevance.
Response?
Your Honor, this is directly relevant to the case. I was attempting to establish a relationship between Avery and her stepping down is obviously an indicator of the capacity of their relationship.
I'm going to overrule the objection. That was covered on direct examination as well. Go ahead, Mr. Tours.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you stepped down from him so he could you stepped down from your position so Avery Becker could take your position, correct?
I did. Like I said, Avery had a much bigger passion for mock trial than I did. And I felt that it was unfair that Avery had been removed. So it was the best decision for me to make.
So would you say that you were partial enough to Avery to take the fall for him despite your own personal feelings?
Objection, Your Honor. Attorney testifying. And argumentative.
Response?
Your Honor, I can simplify my question and restate it.
Okay, go ahead.
Ms. Perkins, would you say that you were partial to Avery and you were partial to the decisions that Avery made?
Avery and I were close friends.
And would you say that you were protecting Avery when you were stepping down from this role?
No, I was giving Avery the role that I felt Avery deserved. Like I said, I thought it was unfair.
Thank you. And you stated in your affidavit that you don't think it's fair that Avery got kicked off the team for vandalizing Mr. Brockman's car, correct?
Correct, because Avery accidentally used a permanent marker.
So you don't believe that committing a crime is worthy of punishment if it's your friends?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
Response?
Your Honor, I'm simply asking her, vandalism, that's a commonly known crime, and I'm asking them, because of what they stated in their affidavit, whether or not they believe that it's worthy of punishment if it's their own friends, being that they stated that in their affidavit.
I'm going to overrule the objection and allow the witness to answer the question.
So yes or no, you do not think that crimes are worthy of punishment if it's your friends?
Well, like I said, it was an accident, so it wasn't an intentional crime.
And you do not believe that Avery deserved to be demoted from the team because of the crime he committed?
Once again, it was an accident, so no.
And you don't believe that writing on a car is intentional?
Well, Avery knew what he was doing, but he, like I said, thought it was a dry erase marker, not a permanent marker.
Thank you. Moving on, Ms. Perkins, you weren't very fond of Alex, correct?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yes, absolutely. You weren't very fond of Alex, correct? Alex Fuentes.
Well, like I previously said, I was not very close to Alex.
Mm-hmm. And you stated that you believe that Alex was attempting to take Avery's role, correct?
I did.
And you didn't like that Alex was trying to take Avery's role because he was your friend, correct?
Correct. Like I said, Avery had been on the mock trial team for 4 years, had put in the work. He deserved those roles.
Thank you. Moving on, Ms. Perkins, what led you to believe that Alex took Avery's phone and forged the text from what you said in your direct?
I'm sorry, the end of that you were cutting out.
I'm sorry. What led you to believe that Alex took Avery's phone and forged the text from what you stated in your direct?
Objection, Your Honor. The witness did not testify that Alex Fuentes took Avery's phone on direct.
Response?
Simply.
Your Honor, indirect, Ms. Perkins testified to that she believed that the phone had gone missing because, and that Alex was the last. Your Honor, I can retract that. I could ask another question.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead.
Ms. Perkins, do you believe that Alex took the phone?
I believe that's a potential because we couldn't find it.
And why exactly do you believe that?
Well, like I said in my direct questioning, I had seen Avery leave his phone on the table, and we had been at the Fry Shack and Alex was there.
However, this is not based on any actual evidence that Alex took it, correct?
No.
Do you think it's possible that you came to this conclusion because you are partial to Avery?
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
Response?
Your Honor, I'm simply asking if she believes that she might have come to this conclusion, being that we've established that they were friends and that she was partial and wanted to protect Avery, that they, I'm sorry, not necessarily protect Avery, but that they were friends. So I'm simply asking if she thinks that it's possible she came to that conclusion. I'm asking the witness.
I'm going to overrule the objection and allow the witness to answer the question.
Sorry, can you re-ask the question, please?
Okay, go ahead.
Do you believe that it's possible that you came to this conclusion because you are partial to Avery?
Well, I mean, wouldn't anybody if they were close friends with someone? But at the same time, like I said, it was based off the fact that we were at the Fry Shack and Alex was there and Avery lost his phone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Perkins. For my last question, I would just like to ask, would you go to any lengths to protect your friends?
Wouldn't anyone?
Awesome. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
No redirect at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Witness is excused. Does the defense wish to call any other witness?
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to call witness Professor Blake Van Owen to the stand.
Okay. Give me
Your Honor,
one-
before I begin, may I ask for a brief time check?
Yes, of course. Timekeepers?
Thank you. May I proceed?
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
All right. No, one moment. Let me let the scoring panelists have just a moment, and then I'll swear the witness. And can the witness raise their right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of law testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Counsel, Ms. Johnson, you can proceed.
Thank you. Good evening. Please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Professor Blake Van Owen, VAN space OWEN.
What do you do for a living?
I am a professor, a private investigator, and an expert witness in police practices. I teach classes on police procedures at Community College of the Rockies.
What is your educational background?
I have my master's degree in criminal justice through Ashford University.
When did your experience with law enforcement begin?
I'd say it began when I joined the Aurora Police Department. I worked there for about 9 months, and it was really eye-opening, and a lot of the experiences there have made me the person who I am today.
Have you testified as an expert in court before?
Yes, I have consulted on more than 100 cases.
Which areas have you testified as an expert witness in?
I have testified, well, my credentials have been found sufficient enough to enter me as an expert in the areas of general police investigation tactics, cell tower analysis, and crime scene reconstruction.
Your Honor, at this time, I move to tender Professor Blake Van Owen as an expert in the field of police practices, crime scene reconstruction, and cell tower analysis on the grounds of her education, experience, and expertise.
Defense, any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Brief word here.
Yes, go right ahead.
You are attempting to testify as an expert in police investigation tactics, correct?
Yes, I am.
And where did you learn about those police practices?
I have my master's degree in criminal justice through Ashford University, as I
But,
previously stated.
I'm sorry. Do you have any relevant experience with police practices?
Yes, I worked as a police officer for 9 months in the Aurora Police Department.
And how long ago did you hold that job?
I believe it was over 5 years ago.
And this is the same job that you left due to an incident, correct?
Yes, like I said, I had an experience that was really eye-opening, and it led me to getting further education and obtaining the job that I have now.
Thank you. And you also plan to testify in crime scene reconstruction?
Yes, I do.
Where did you learn technical crime scene reconstruction?
It was part of the police training, and I also learned about it in my master's degree.
So just to clarify, your police training more than 5 years ago, and where else?
And in my master's degree at Ashford University.
Okay. And were you ever a detective?
No, I was not.
And you also plan to testify as an expert in cell tower analysis, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And where did you learn about cell tower analysis?
In the same areas as I previously stated, at my previous job and at my master's degree education.
Your Honor, the people move that Blake Van Owen not be entered as an expert in crime scene analysis, reconstruction and cell tower analysis, as well as the police investigation tactics due to a lack of education, and it's been a long time since she's had any real experience.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Response? Yes.
Under Rule 703, it states that one of 5 things are required to be considered an expert, one of which is experience, and my witness has indeed a lot of experience.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
That experience that was relevant happened many years ago. It's been many years since she's been involved with police practices.
Yes.
She may have testified with cell tower analysis, but she hasn't actually analyzed anything as a job. She's only a professor.
The court's going to find that Blake Van Owen is an expert in the fields of general police, crime scene reconstruction as well as cell tower knowledge or identification. Go ahead, counsel.
Let's start with the evidence found at the scene of the crime. Did you review Kyle Kuzak's report?
Yes, I did. And I took issue with his analysis of the murder weapon and the scuff marks.
What was the issue with Kuzak's scuff mark analysis?
Well, I mean, anyone can see that there are scuff marks on the floor, but there's no clear evidence that they occurred during the incident, as Cusack states. I mean, you can't carbon date scuff marks, so there's no way to tell.
What conclusions did Kuzak come to based on the knife's position?
Cusack states that, Brackman and the intruder were in a scuffle, and in this scuffle, the intruder stabbed Brackman in a downward angle to nick his aorta. For this to be true, the intruder would have to be larger than Brackman.
Objection, Your Honor, lack of expert opinion.
Response?
Your Honor, my witness is an expert, therefore she is allowed to give her expert opinion.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yes.
Your expert witness is not an expert in the medical field.
She is an expert in crime scene reconstruction, which is what she did.
Court's going to overrule the objection and allow the testimony. Go ahead.
May I re-ask my question?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. What is your opinion on the knife's position?
Well, as I stated, the intruder would have to be larger than Brackman in order to stab him in that angle. And based on the ring video footage that we have, we can tell that the intruder is not much larger than Brackman.
Let the record reflect. My bad. Your Honor, permission for the witness to view Exhibit 21?
Yes.
Let the record reflect. I am showing the witness what has previously been marked as Exhibit 21. Do you recognize this exhibit?
Yes, I do.
What is Exhibit 21?
It is a photo of a hand holding a knife in a grip that appears to be very natural and comfortable based on the way that the knife's handle has been constructed.
Is this exhibit you are viewing a complete and accurate copy of the one you reviewed during your investigation?
Yes, it is.
How do you know?
Because it is the one that I have reviewed when I was making my examinations.
Your Honor, I now move to admit Exhibit 21.
Any objection from the...
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Exhibit 21 is admitted without objection.
Your Honor, permission to publish to the jury my screen?
I grant the request. Go ahead.
I now show you what has been marked for identification as Exhibit number 21. What does this picture mean to the investigation?
Well, most people will hold a knife in the same manner based on the way that the knife handle is constructed, and that won't change based on the way that they're going to use it, because when you pick up a knife, you're going to pick it up in the grip that is most comfortable for your hand. And so for an intruder to stab Brackman in a downward angle, he would have had to use the knife in a different manner.
Let the record reflect that I have stopped sharing my screen.
All right, thank you.
Now let's talk about the Ring Security app. What experience, if any, do you have with the Ring Security app?
I own this app myself.
What are some of the owner's abilities on the app?
Well, one of the ones that I use a lot is turning on and off notifications. It's especially helpful during the holiday season when there's so many packages and you just don't want all those notifications on your phone.
Do you know if Mr. Brackman's security system had this option?
Every system should have this ability, yes.
Where do you believe Avery Becker's phone was at the time of the murder?
Objection, speculation.
Response?
Your Honor, my witness is an expert in cell tower data analysis, so I'm going to further ask her more questions as to what her opinion is on the location of Avery Becker's phone.
I'm going to sustain the objection based upon the manner in which you asked the question. And I'm going to ask you either to rephrase or to move on to something else.
Yes, Your Honor.
I do believe that the question does ask for speculation based upon the manner in which it was asked.
May I rephrase, Your Honor?
Yes.
Do you have any knowledge of where Avery Becker's phone was at the time of the murder?
Based on the cell tower analysis that I have reviewed, it appears that his phone was in the general area of Brackman's home. However, cell tower analysis is very different from GPS data, so it's hard to tell.
How is GPS data different from cell tower data?
GPS data will give you an exact location of a phone. It will be very specific, and that's how GPS data can be very helpful. Cell tower analysis is a little more vague because when a phone connects to a cell tower, it will connect to the one that gives it the best connection. So that tower may be right next to you, or it may be one that's 10 miles away. Especially in an urban setting, it will change where it connects at any given time. So while we can tell that the phone was in the general area, we can't pinpoint that it was at Brackman's home.
Do you know if Detective Markowitz had access to the cell phone records?
Yes, he did.
What do you believe Detective Markowitz should have done with this opportunity?
Objection, relevance.
Bonds?
Your Honor, you will see further on in my questions why it is important to understand why Detective Markowitz did not gather information correctly.
I'm going to overrule the objection and allow the testimony from this witness. Go ahead.
May I repeat my question?
Yes.
What do you believe Detective Markowitz should have done with this opportunity?
I believe he should have taken the cell tower analysis records from the days leading up to the murder and the day of the murder, not just a specific date and time. And he also should have looked into other people who had connections to the victim and taken the cell tower records from them too.
What did police have access to at the time of the murder?
Police have access always to Celebrate, which is a mobile forensic software that allows them to very easily download the contents of any cell phone, and that would include text messages.
What did the police do with this software?
Instead of using this software that they had at hand, they just accepted the screenshots that Alex Cifuentes sent to them a day after they talked with him.
Why is obtaining actual contents more important than just the screenshots alone?
We all know that you can very easily change screenshots. You can edit them, you can add stickers, And so having the actual evidence would be a very professional thing to do. And since they had that software at hand, they should have used it.
What other suspects did the police question?
The police didn't question any other suspects.
Who had more of a motive in this case than Avery Becker?
I believe Blair Rowlands may have had a motive.
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Response?
Your Honor, she is giving her expert opinion on who she believes had more of a motive in this case than the defendant.
Going to overrule the objection and allow the testimony. Go ahead.
Who is Blair Rowlands?
Blair Rowlands is the son of Jonathan Rowlands, and he was tried in a case for murder in which he was represented by Brackman.
What evidence did you find of Blair Rowlands' motive?
Well, as Blair's father, Jonathan Rowlands, was being led away after he was convicted, he called out to Brackman that he would get him back.
What is Exhibit 22?
Exhibit 22 is an audio recording of the court proceedings in which Jonathan Rowlands was convicted.
How do you know?
Because it is the one that I have reviewed in my examination.
Have you personally reviewed the audio labeled Exhibit 22?
Yes, I have.
To your knowledge, has a copy of Exhibit 22 been provided to the prosecution counsel?
Yes.
Is Exhibit 22 a complete and accurate copy of the audio you retrieved from the investigation?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I move to admit Exhibit 22.
Response or objections from the people?
Yes, Your Honor, I object on the grounds of hearsay.
Response?
Your Honor, this is not hearsay, as this was an incredibly important statement that was made by the father of the possible suspect with a motive that could have driven him to take action.
Additionally, it's what the expert relied on in their examination of the record with regards to forming their opinions. The court's going to overrule the objection and allow the testimony. Go ahead.
Thank you.
And I think, I apologize, are you moving Exhibit 22 or are you just questioning on Exhibit 22?
I'm going to admit Exhibit 22.
All right. And the court's going to allow the admission of Exhibit 22. Go ahead.
Your Honor, permission to share the screen and publish Exhibit 22 to the jury by playing the audio?
Yes.
I'll get you back, Brackman, if it's the last thing I do.
Let the record reflect I have stopped playing Exhibit 22. What do you conclude from this recording, Professor Van Owen?
When Jonathan Rollins made that statement, he seemed to be very serious. So this could be a credible threat.
Now let's talk about the day Mr. Brackman was murdered. What else did you review during your investigation?
I also reviewed the school attendance records.
Objection, Your Honor. This question calls for narrative.
Response?
Your Honor, she's just trying to explain what else she reviewed during her investigation.
Right, overruled. Go ahead with the testimony.
What else did you review during your investigation?
I reviewed Blair Rollins' attendance records.
What did you find when reviewing Blair Rollins' school attendance records?
He was absent from school the day of the murder, which could have allowed him to go to Brackman's home.
What do you know about Blair's whereabouts today?
Unfortunately, we don't know where he is or how to contact him.
What motive would Blair Rollins have to harm Mr. Brackman?
I mean, in my opinion, having your father be put away for murder would be a lot more of a motive than just being kicked off of the mock trial team.
In your expert opinion, do you believe Avery Becker killed Mr. Brackman?
No, I do not.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. You were working for the defense as a private investigator, correct?
Yes, I am.
And you wrote a report concerning the conclusions made by Detective Markowitz and CSR Kyle Kuzak, correct?
Yes, I did.
You mentioned in your previous testimony that the knife used to kill Mackenzie Brackman did not match the others in the knife block, correct?
Yes.
And do you have copies of Exhibit 7 and 8?
Yes. Will you allow me to pull those up?
Yep. Your Honor, do you also have copies of Exhibit 7 and 8?
I do.
Do you have a copy?
Yes.
Okay. Taking a look at the knife block in Exhibit 8, do you notice a missing knife in the upper right side of the block, yes or no?
Yes, I do.
And now taking a look at Exhibit 7, if you direct your attention to the middle left side of the drawer, do you notice a large chef knife with a black handle and 3 white circles, yes or no?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yeah. Taking a look at Exhibit 7, if you direct your attention to the middle left side of the drawer, do you notice a large chef's knife with a black handle and 3 white circles, yes or no?
Yes, I do.
Now moving back to Exhibit 8, what color are the handles of the knives in the block?
I mean, the photo is in black and white, so I cannot really tell. I believe it is silver, actually.
So they're actually black. I know you have a black and white copy.
Sorry, my apologies.
Do they also possess the same 3 white circles?
It's hard to tell because of the vertical angle in which the photo was taken.
Okay. Given these facts, is it a possibility that the original knife in the block was moved to the drawer and replaced by another knife, likely a nicer one? Yes or no?
I suppose that's a possibility. I don't know why anyone would do that, though.
Okay, thank you. And that being said, is it possible that the missing knife from the block was the one found near Black Brackman?
I suppose it's a possibility. However, it doesn't seem likely.
So it is possible that there was a struggle between the victim and the perpetrator then, correct?
Yes, I would say a struggle is a possibility. However, based on my findings, I don't believe that that's what happened.
All right. Do you have a copy of Exhibits 10, 11, and 12, the security camera footage?
Yes, I do.
In these videos, do you see any case of a knife being held by the perpetrator or anything around him where he would possess a knife?
I mean, based on my examination, I don't see him holding a knife. However, you can conceal things in your clothes, so I think it's a possibility that he did have a knife.
But is it possible that he didn't bring a knife?
Yes.
Thank you.
And
So-
counsel, for the record, what were the exhibits you referred to in that question?
10, 11, and 12.
Thank you.
So this means that it could be possible that the perpetrator grabbed the knife from inside, correct?
Yes, it is possible.
So your theory of a surprise attack could be incorrect.
I mean, a theory isn't what happened, so anything could be incorrect. However, I believe that my theory is correct based on my examination.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor,
And
you do not admit these exhibits into evidence.
we admitted them before. I believe 10, 11, and 12 are in evidence, correct?
One moment.
Correct, Your Honor.
I will let you know. Exhibit 10, 12 are admitted without objection, and I do not have admission of exhibit 11. However, it's being referred to for the purposes of this question was what the witness had determined or used in her analysis. If I understood the question correctly, it was, were these exhibits reviewed by you to form your opinions as an expert? So I don't believe that the exhibit 11 is being asked to be admitted, but it was asked as a reference to the witness.
Okay, my bad, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. You previously testified how the only sign of a struggle were scuff marks at the door, correct?
Yes, I did testify to that.
Do you have a copy of Exhibit 9 in front of you?
Yes, I do.
And can you please describe to the jury what is depicted in Exhibit 9?
In Exhibit 9, there's a plate that appears to be broken on the floor.
Thank you. And in the event of a surprise attack, as you believe, how does a plate break halfway across the house from where the victim was found?
I don't believe the plate on the floor is connected to the surprise attack. I have animals in my house. My cats knock things off the counter all the time. So
Did Mr. Brackman have any animals?
I'm sorry?
Did Mr. Brackman have any animals?
I do not know that.
Thank you. And you previously stated that it was a possibility that the ring notifications did not alert the victim of the intruder's presence, correct?
Yes, as I stated, you can turn off notifications.
But do you have any evidence that the ring notifications were off? Yes or
Unfortunately,
no?
the police did not get those records for us, so we do not have that evidence today.
Thank you. And you talked about how police failed to collect records from cell towers for the day before the murder, correct?
Yes, they did.
And you believe this was completely and totally relevant to the case, correct?
I believe that the cell tower records are showing where Avery Becker's phone was, so I believe that is somewhat relevant.
And you have the ability to request these records yourself, don't you?
As a civilian, it is a lot more difficult for me to obtain records, as it should be, because civilians can't just request records for anyone that they want. So I believe that the police should have done that.
So you believe the police should have done that, and you did not do that yourself, correct?
I did not. That was correct.
One moment, Your Honor. Have you made a statement before you came to court today?
Yes, I did.
And did you lie in that statement?
No, I did not.
Did you lie in court today?
No, I
Jackson,
did
I'm
not.
confused to what she's being impeached for. What statement she's being impeached for?
I'll explain it in my next line of questioning, Your Honor.
So I'm going to sustain the objection until you further address the witness. Go ahead.
Okay. So do you have the ability to request those records?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you. And you still didn't do so, correct? Even though you thought they were important?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor, briefly.
Go ahead.
Ms. Van Owen, can you elaborate more on why you did not obtain those records yourself?
Yes. As a civilian, it is incredibly difficult for me to obtain those records, and the police should have done that themselves. In addition, they were not, while they were important, they were not.
That's time.
All right. Time is called, and does the defense rest?
Yes, Your Honor, the defense rests its case.
All right, thank you. Let me give the scoring panel a moment to tab their scores, and then we will move to closing argument. Do the people and the defense wish to make closing arguments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And are the people prepared? Is the prosecution prepared to make their closing argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's give it just a few more seconds and then you can start your closing argument, okay? Earlier, there was a request in the motions for rebuttal, and that request is still pending at this time. So I'm going to allow the rebuttal, but just be conscious of your time, okay? And are the people ready for closing argument?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, counsel.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today you've heard much about the murder of Mackenzie Brackman, a skilled litigator, a mock trial coach, and above all else, an irreplaceable staple in the community he lived in. You discovered through testimony today that this wasn't the first time there had been conflict between Becker and the late Brackman. For months upon months, Avery Becker had been slacking off on the team, which led to fights with Coach Brackman. While Avery wanted nothing more than to retain the lead roles on the team while doing the absolute bare minimum, Brackman understood that it simply wouldn't be fair to the other members of the team to let that negligent and lazy attitude continue to prosper. So as always, Brackman did what was right. He did the best for the team and demoted Avery on the grounds of carelessness. As revealed by testimony from Alex Cifuentes, Becker's response to this decision demonstrated a magnificent show of character with the decision to maliciously vandalize Coach Brackman's car. Once more, Brackman did what was right and expelled him, Becker, from the team. Avery, albeit understandably so, had many issues getting over this. So on March 6th of last year, after dealing with anger and humiliation, Avery Becker texted Alex Cifuentes that he had the intent to get even with Mr. Brackman by going straight to his own home to vandalize it. Shortly after that, Brackman was discovered stabbed to death near his front door. One thing is for certain, simple coincidence is not to blame for this wicked crime. Through the testimonies and evidence you've heard today, we are completely faithful that you, the jury, will understand your civic duty in finding Avery Becker guilty in today's trial. Today, you have heard the testimony of 3 individuals from the prosecution, one of whom used to be a close companion and teammate of Avery Becker, and the other 2 expert witnesses here to better explain and lay out the many pieces of evidence that prove Avery Becker is beyond a reasonable doubt guilty and the perpetrator of the 2 charges we bring against him today: murder in the first degree and second-degree burglary of a dwelling. Firstly, you have heard from expert witness Jordan Markowitz, a homicide detective with the Denver Police Department with a certification in data recovery from the American Academy of Law Enforcement. By meticulously following the data evidence, Markowitz explained in detail the events of the day of Brackman's murder. First, he explained the location of Avery's cell phone being at the scene of the crime during the time the crime was committed, an unlikely coincidence, if you ask me, and then further proving his case by showing the text between Mr. Cifuentes and Avery Becker, showing obvious intent of breaking and entering. Secondly, you have heard from expert witness Kyle Kuzak, a crime scene reconstruction investigator with 19 years of experience and a certification from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, who provided his explanation in detail of her theories on March 6th. First, going through the gruesome details of Brackman's stabbing, then following with the odd circumstances surrounding Brackman's reaction, suggesting that he knew the person threatening him, as well as her professional opinion on what exactly occurred. Finally, Alex Cifuentes, a close friend of Avery Becker who spent considerable time with him in both mock trial and outside the club, testified to Avery's character, detailing the bias Avery always held against Mr. Brackman. And finally, the unsettling text he received from Avery immediately before Mr. Brackman's murder, again proving Avery's intent to commit burglary. While the defense may lead you to believe that there is insufficient evidence to conclude with absolute certainty that Avery Becker was the one who murdered Brackman in cold blood, this is simply untrue. Cell tower evidence places Becker at the scene of the crime during the time the crime occurred. It seems to be a little too big a coincidence that the person accused of murder's phone seemed to have gone missing the day before a violent crime occurred. I have confidence that you, the members of the jury, will not let the defense's misdirection sway your opinion, and that the evidence given today proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Avery Becker is solely and completely responsible for the death of Mackenzie Brackman. Remember that even if Avery had no original intent of killing or even hurting Brackman during the break-in, but still ended up doing so, you must find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder by Colorado law. We, the prosecution, have the cold hard evidence. We have the most likely outcome, and right here today, we have a murderer awaiting sentencing. Now for you, the jury, you have only one thing. You have the opportunity to choose facts, to choose evidence, and to choose justice. Today, you have the opportunity to rightfully hold Avery Becker accountable for his actions and find a verdict of guilty for the charges of murder in the first degree as well as burglary in the second degree. Thank you all for your time.
All right. Thank you. Defense, closing argument.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, you have been presented with a heavy case. The most important thing I hope you take with you as you come to a consensus is that we have an innocent young man standing before all of us, facing an accusation he absolutely does not deserve. The fact that there is a surplus of holes and misalignments in this case should prove to you the unfairness of this investigation, let alone the suspect that came out of it. A chain is only ever as strong as its weakest link. And this investigation is a prime example of that. Avery Becker may have had a few disputes with his coach, may have taken things a bit too far at times, but to assume that this high school student is capable of murder is a reach that could cost Avery his future, let alone cost the true justice that Brackman deserves. In this case, Avery Becker was that weak link. The investigation done on Avery was biased from the start. Instead of investigating all possibilities and then choosing their suspect when there was nothing left to consider, they chose their suspect first thing and built their case around that. Today, you heard Detective Markowitz, confident in her 3-day training, allow emailed screenshots to be used as evidence in a murder case. Screenshots that were sent an entire day after their interview. The credibility of these text messages would increase by tenfold had Markowitz told Cifuentes to bring his phone in as soon as possible after their interview, but she neglected to do so. You heard Markowitz admit that she didn't look into Brackman's previous clients, as that would be a lot of suspects. Does that not contradict her claim that good police work requires you to follow up on all possible leads? You heard Kyle Kuzak explain to you his investigative process, a process that apparently didn't push him to take any steps into investigating Blair Rowlands. You heard Alex Cifuentes go on about how she and Avery were such good friends, yet no other witness claimed such a thing. Has anyone considered the possibility that Alex and Blair had used the misunderstandings between Avery Becker and Mr. Brackman to their advantage? To distract from Blair and his involvement in the murder? The police certainly didn't. You, however, should. The prosecution has repeatedly referenced the texts that were supposedly sent to Alex, but we have made it abundantly clear that Avery's phone was not in his possession at the time of these text messages, supported not only by the defendant, but also by Taylor Perkins. You heard from Avery Becker, a talented and devoted student who wanted nothing more than to bring success to their mock trial team, and ended up suspect for crimes he didn't commit. Is there solid proof the person who broke into Brackman's home and murdered him was Avery Becker? Can anyone testify that they saw his face in the ring footage? No. So why was the police so eager and quick to label him their suspect? You heard from Taylor Perkins, the very person who was with Avery on the day of the murder, and has told you exactly what happened surrounding that time. They were searching for Avery's stolen phone. Finally, you heard from our expert private investigator, Blake Van Owen, who explained how rushed this investigation was. You heard of the lack of support behind many of Kuzak's claims and the lack of accuracy behind Markowitz's cell tower data. He also supports the notion that the detectives chose their suspect at the beginning, then sought out evidence that matched with it. I hope we have proved to you beyond a reasonable doubt how those who ran this investigation did so in a lazy and unprofessional manner. The prosecution has the burden of proof, and I hope you'll consider whether or not they truly met that burden. Did they make you believe that Avery Becker is undoubtedly guilty? Can you say with absolute certainty that Avery Becker committed these crimes? Take Alex Cifuentes as an example of how rushed this investigation was. The student couldn't even provide her phone on the day of her interview, a phone that supposedly held incriminating evidence. The detectives accepted screenshots, emailed screenshots. To them, that sufficed, in a case that meant everything for Avery Becker, a case that was supposed to be bringing justice to a deceased Mr. Brackman. Hard, indisputable evidence was not a necessity. Take Blair Rowlands as a second example. There is no doubt that Rowlands has involvement in this case, not to mention a motive, and yet nothing in relation was investigated. Once again, a chain is only ever as strong as its weakest link. How can you possibly convict someone without absolute certainty, without each and every possibility thoroughly investigated? A rushed investigation isn't going to cut it, especially a murder investigation, and one that involves high school students. The chain of this investigation became weak the second they latched onto Avery Becker. Each link that came after that had only one purpose: to strengthen the credibility of Avery, the weakest link. However, you as the jury should now be well aware of this manipulation. The detectives' intentions are crystal clear. They never intended to solve this case and bring justice to a deceased man. They intended to do things the easy way, latch onto a suspect and roll with it, ignore outside possibilities and get things done as quickly and easily as possible. Detectives who are true to their title would never handle things in the way that this case was handled. Every detail must be taken into consideration. But, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is now your responsibility to see through this inadequate investigation.
Time. All right, thank you. Prosecution, how much time do you have for rebuttal? Can I have that from the timekeepers, please?
They have 45 seconds, Your Honor.
All right, counsel, you have 35 seconds for rebuttal. Any
Oh,
rebuttal?
they have 45 seconds, Your Honor.
How much?
45 seconds.
All right, Mr. Ayoteri, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you wish to rebut?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, counsel.
Today, the defense wants you to believe that our investigation was rushed. In reality, this investigation took more than a month. Furthermore, I'd like to leave you with I'd like to leave your last thought, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, with a text sent by Avery. I would get back at him if it was the last thing I did. Thank you.
All right. That concludes the trial. Thank you very much. And at this time, I'm going to give the panelists some time to complete their scores, and I would like to start by giving some of my comments, if that's appropriate. Go ahead.
We're actually going to have you wait for your comments until after our scoring panelists have submitted their sheets,
Right.
which they are starting on right now.
All right, just let me know when they're completed.
Perfect. If we could get the name of the team member who did the opening for the defense that was requested from our scoring panelists.
That is me, Your Honor, Victoria Johnston.
Thank you. And I will let you all know as soon as our scoring sheets have been received. Scoring panelists, if you would send me a private message once you've submitted your score sheet, please.
And just let me know, and then I'll go ahead and address those competitors.
Okay, we have received all of our score sheets, so Magistrate Farrow, you can go ahead and start. And if we could keep comments with our scoring panelists to maybe under 2 minutes so that we can get our team members out of here to get prepared for the next round.
Well, first, I want to say what a wonderful job everybody did. I want to applaud you. Wow, I was so impressed. Let me just go through some comments that I have from your work. The opening by the people, excellent, loved it. I thought maliciously vandalizing, stabbed to death, and then you address the actual charge itself, the date of the incident, very nicely done. And you started with really good energy. I liked the for the defense, I liked chain as strong as the weakest link, and you carried that through to the very end. Really well done. I also like negligence of the prosecution. So you carried a theme through your case, and it was a petty feud. And I also like that you said mistakes do not equal murder. That was nicely done. I would say a great job by Mr. Lowry with his witness. Liked that you carried through. Just be careful that just because someone raises an objection and someone answers and someone sustains it, you don't lose track of where you are and go back to trying to get your exhibits admitted. Foundation just requires that the witness know why they're introducing the exhibit at this level. That should work for you, and you did a very nice job. Like the cross as well. I'd like the admission of experts in the case. I thought everybody did a really good job on that. And very impressed by the defense and their ability to attack. Good objections by both sides. I mean, you really are doing a great job. The witnesses were exceptional. I've seen there going I think these people are the actual witnesses in the case. So it was a very impressive. You had great composure and demeanor. Ms. Firkus, I really liked your way you handle it. You had a nice interaction with your witnesses. You had good command when you made your objections. I really felt that was a really good job. In fact, I put a star. And you showed bias in your cross. I really thought that was exceptional as well. I would say, I want to make sure I say your last name right, Mr. Tours. You did a really good job with your witness, and also you handled your objections well. What I feel is the biggest takeaway for me from everybody. I always say, if you're going to participate in mock trial, you have to treat it like you really believe the case exists. And I believe you all accomplished that. And I want to say, I felt you were vested. And that's the key. If you treat it like this is for real, you can't help but argue for someone to keep from murder, to keep from being accused of being a murderer. And on the other side, you can't help but fight for somebody who you believe is innocent. So I applaud you, your parents, everybody, and the sacrifices you make, and do it virtually. Incredible. That's all I have to add, and I'll turn it over to the panelists at this time. Whoever wishes to go first, go ahead.
Will, how about you go first?
Sure, yeah, don't everyone jump in at once. My name is Will Smith. I'm an attorney in town, and I'll echo what Magistrate Farrow said very generally. You did a great job. Bottom line, you know the case cold, and everyone top to bottom knew what they were doing. You guys knew the ins and outs of the weaknesses of the questions that were likely to be asked. You did a great job getting ahead of those questions, which I thought was really key on direct. You understood, you brought out, and oftentimes brought out the bad stuff first. Look, online is tough. I'm sitting here watching it and I'm thinking to myself, this is a lot like a lot of the stuff we have to do. It's awful. Doing the Zoom stuff is tough, and you're adapting well. Kudos to, and I'm forgetting the name, so forgive me, for doing a good job with screen share. The majority of the attorneys in town can't do that, arguably myself included. We were told to give you constructive feedback. I'll do so, but these are nitpicky things in my opinion. Y'all did an awesome job. On direct examination, especially with expert witnesses, a little bit too much control I saw on asking questions. Let those witnesses run. In real life, you should be able to wind that witness up, go into the hallway, have a cup of coffee, and then you come back and they're still talking. Let the experts run. Let them shine. That's the opportunity for these witnesses to shine. Expert witnesses did awesome. I started that myself, but I won't go into it. Magistrate Farrow did a great job. On cross, make sure you're asking leading questions. Really, really focus those in. So tighter leading questions are the way to go. I saw a lot of really tight leading questions. Some of them you're giving the witnesses too much run. What do you think about is a bad leading question, right? Didn't you say XYZ on this date, right? Lock them in, get it tight. You're, on cross-examination, you're the one testifying really. You're just getting them to admit to what's already in evidence. And if they say something incorrect, be ready to jump back with impeachment. Rules of evidence are hard. In law school, we have, at least I had to go do 2 semesters of evidence practicums. And as a prosecutor, you had to do it all the time. There's no way that you're going to have a master of evidence. No attorney does, no judge does. Don't be worried if you get a crazy objection or sustained objection. They're going to give you, Magistrate Farrow is going to rule inconsistently just to mess with you, and that's okay. The real key though is be ready for the rationale for your objections. If you don't have a good rationale for your objection, this is a performance art. So don't even make the objection, right? If you don't have a good legal basis for your objection, don't make it. If you know your objection's cold, and you should, you can just get the objection sheet. If you're going to make the objection, make it and sound really smart. You can just read right off the rule of evidence. It's so effective when you say, pursuant to Rule 702, this is the basis, right? Oh my gosh, that's so effective. And it's such an easy way to score points with folks like me who are going to be so impressed that you know the rule, even if sometimes we forget it. So just keep that in mind. It's an easy way to get points and look really, really great. On openings, closings, great job. Make sure your openings are more tell a story and that your closings are more argument. I'm trying to kind of keep it general, but I was really impressed with the defense closing arguments. You're tying your evidence together and really, really hammering home why this is nonsense. Prosecution, you always have a tough case. Anytime you're on the prosecution side, there's going to be reasonable doubt everywhere. One comment I'd have on the prosecution's perspective is, embrace your burden on the front and the back end. And I always like to say, if it bleeds, it leads. This is not a long story about an argument, right? This is a murder. There's blood all over the place. There's a knife in the back. If it bleeds, it leads. So gang, y'all did an awesome job. I was impressed as anything, and you should really be really proud of yourself. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Next panelist.
Beverly, if you want to go next.
Sure. Excuse me. So I am not an attorney, so my comments will just be very general. I was really impressed at everybody's ability to think on their feet. I thought you all knew your facts and roles well. The witnesses were very prepared. I particularly loved Sam's performance. And as far as attorneys go, Kenzie, really got and kept my attention. But great job, everybody.
Thank you, Beverly. And Emily?
Yeah, sorry, I might be repeating a little bit. My internet kicked me off right at the very end there. So if other panelists have already said this, which I'm sure they have, which is you guys all did such a great job. I'm honestly so impressed. This is my second year doing this, and I'm constantly just kind of in awe at how good you guys are. I mean, there's some attorneys that you guys are better than some attorneys I've seen in some courtrooms, and that's really true. I loved how both sides really, from their opening statement all through the case, kind of had their blueprint of the case. The prosecution was, there's cold hard evidence, choose the facts, choose justice. And that kind of went all the way through into closing. And then for defense, it was, you're just choosing the weak link. The police just kind of did a crappy job, and they just chose kind of the guy that was the easy target. And that was really kind of shown from opening. I like how everyone kind of brought it back into their closing. I think that's really great. One thing that stuck out to me, Braden, in your, I think it was cross of Miss Perkins, your last question was so good. when you asked, what links would you go to? And that's always a scary thing to do because I can always go wrong, but it didn't, and it really hit home. I agree to Paige Miller's closing was great. Overall, I know I'm supposed to give constructive criticism. I don't have much. I mean, rules of evidence are hard, objections are hard. It's hard to think on your feet. That just takes practice. I'm not good at it still. But overall, just great job. You guys did awesome.
Honestly, what a great job. I'm very impressed, and I thank you all for participating. Good luck in the next round, okay?
All right, guys, I'm going to end the live stream and close our room. So thank you for your time and good luck.